Welcome back, folks, to ESA Cup. We're now hitting round two of Swiss. My name is Travi, and I'm here joined by the wonderful Delta Bacon. What is hopefully going to be an absolutely banging night of Siege. We've got a wonderful game coming up on your hands. We've got the MolotovGang versus Team Synq. Delta, how are you feeling about this one?
Good. And it's nice that you say I'm wonderful before you've casted with me. Let's see how you feel in 2 hours, mate. But yeah, you're right. We've got Molotov Gang, the reigning champions here to defend their crown that they took, quite dominantly really back in season 9, and they're going up against Team Sync, who are coming up, and we've been talking with them just before the game, and they're cracking jokes. They're throwing a bit of banter back and forth, and I feel like they're not really, they're a bit nonplussed about the opposition they're coming up to. There, Travi, they're very confident.
You know what? I think that's the most important thing. Have that mental factor going into it. You see someone on the other side of the bracket and go, "Oh crap, they're quite a good team," and then you start to worry a little bit. And speaking of the bracket, we take a look at how the brackets stand. Of course, mentioned a
Yeah, go
minute
on.
ago, we're in round two of Swiss now. So every team has played a game so far. We have eight teams who have won their first game, and we have eight teams who have lost their first game, dictating things how we're going in Swiss. We're currently up at the tippy top of things in 1-0. So we're watching the winners tonight. That's of course going to be the top game at the top. But you can see here plenty of other great teams here, and I'd say it's a mix of expectations and upsets so far in the bracket here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of these teams, they swept their first round 2-0. MVG, quite notably, actually swept their first game 7-0, 7-0 against Team 27, who we were maybe expecting a little more competition from, but MVG, it was difficult to watch by the time we got halfway through map 2. So, you know, MVG coming into this with a lot of spirit and also on the back of a huge amount of momentum ever since they won back in season 9, and obviously before that, leading up to the grand final, they've been on a terrific run of form for about 4, 5. You could maybe even argue 6 months. Not even making it through the qualifiers of season 9, but getting in through a dropout, then romping to victory. They're not beatable at the moment. They're just not beatable. Team Sync, they're going to have a real battle on their hands today.
And I suppose for Team Six, I suppose the question arises of what is going to be needed to do so. So let's take a look at our expectations for today. See where everyone seems to believe this game is going to lie here. And 70 to 30, and if I'm being honest, there's a little bit more people voting in the way of Team Sync than I thought they would. A couple of people perhaps predicting an upset, as we've seen a couple of times so far here in Season 10. I mean, you do have to ask for Team Sync, what really are the win conditions going in towards tonight?
Well, I mean, not to be the Michael Owen of the situation here, but you hit heads, you win rounds, you win rounds, you win games. It's going to be about setting that early momentum. MVG, once they get a good head of steam behind them, we've seen this in games throughout the last couple of months. Once they win and start getting that second round, that third round, it just builds up and they're not stoppable at that point because they're a really good team at carrying that dynamic momentum all the way through a game. Teams think they're going to need to come out hard. I think they're going to need to come out, swing for these guys, try and take them down a couple of notches before they get that going. Because, like I say, when they get that head of steam going, Travi, they're not going to be stopped.
They're not going to be stopped. I suppose that's going to be a very difficult one to answer. And when we look at the map veto as well, we're going to be kicking things off over on Chalet. And now that's going to be the opponent's map pick. That's going to be MVG's map pick. So for Sync, if you want them to get the momentum, sort of get the ball rolling right out of the gate, they're going to need to be taking their opponent's map pick from them. And that could be quite a difficult task, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of these teams succeeded in taking the other team's map pick away from them back in round 1. But it's going to be very different this time. I'm interested actually to see Sync pick up Consulate because whilst they did pick it up and pick a win last round, MVG, they took the title here last game, and we're definitely going to have a consulate in this game. So it's interesting to me that Sync would back themselves in that way. Maybe they think, do you know what? Let's take it to their turf. Let's take it to their turf and let's absolutely batter them on it.
Yeah.
Interesting to see.
It's going to definitely be a spicy one. Of course, should we get all the way to three, it's going to be Cafe Dostoevsky as our final decide about. Now, previously in this stage, MVG they picked onto Cafe, they won Cafe 7-0. And then, whereas Team Six, they were also forced to play Cafe. It wasn't the one they picked into, but they played it and they also won it there. So both these teams definitely know how to play Cafe. Cafe is a comfortable area for them. But I suppose if we do get there, it's going to have to be a question of do Sync have enough to stop the wind in the sails of MVG?
Yeah, and I think in terms of how they've played this section right now, MVG forcing Synq to pick between Skyscraper, which I think is a map where it's very much a Marmite map. Either you love it or you hate it. And Cafe, where obviously whilst both teams won, MVG picked this map, and the psychology behind that is saying we picked this because we know it, because we're really good at it. So you force them into a bit of a corner on that one. So I think in terms of the play that they've made in picking the maps, MVG have really made it work to their own benefit there.
Yeah. 100%. It's always good to start things off on the foot in the map veto. As I say, map veto can dictate whether these series go all the way or whether it's a quick 2-0 for or against you. So, crucially important to get these map picks right. And from the sounds of things, it's all very comfortable here for the side of MVG. And for Team Sync, feels like they might have had a bit of an uphill battle coming ahead of them. But as you sort of mentioned, they're in positive spirits, and that is going to be so important for them going into the match. Even if they start to lose some rounds, what they need to do is they really need to try and recover that back up and not let perhaps a couple of lost rounds get into their head, not let the momentum slip away from them, and just make sure that they're continuing to contest. It's going to be a war of attrition here, I've got a feeling, for Team Sync. If they do win it, it's not going to be quite a clean win. They're going to need to fight very, very deep for this one.
Yeah, and sometimes when everyone's got the predictions against you, when everyone's kind of up against you, even though it was a 70-30 split, you saw the staff vote. The staff vote is very much saying it's not going to be that many people in support of Team Sync. I think that can sometimes galvanize you. It can really galvanize you. So what you want to do there is you want to take that and say, okay, we're actually going to go prove everyone wrong. You're up against the reigning champions. No one's backing you. You know what I mean? To be
Yeah,
very self-serving, this
yeah,
is Luton Town going up against Liverpool.
yeah. God.
But you always got to back yourself, and you never know. If you start soon, you pick up a round, you pick up a second round, that can turn the tables. And MVG, we've seen them start well and continue that. We've never really seen them come back. So I think
Yeah.
that's what Sync need to focus on. Come out soon, take 4, 5 rounds, get it done.
Get it done. Come out the gate swinging, and well, coming out swinging, it will not be Blackbeard who's going to be sitting out this first map here, unfortunately. So, I mean, Blackbeard, since that rework, he's been in the game so much. He's jumped from an operator. I don't think we really saw much of a tool into someone that we see banned a lot of the time, and when he's not banned, he's played a lot. He's on the front lines. You feel him whether he's there or not.
Yeah, I think Blackbeard, we saw him releasing his new form over the course of Season 9, and he made a very immediate impact on how the game was played. We saw, I think it was MVG, we saw people from Linnet's Defense League in the closing stages of the race really using that new ability, that new shield mechanic to their benefit, and it was dominant, really,
Yeah,
in a way. Obviously, Blackbeard coming off the board, Ying coming off the board, so that's your flashes. You're not going to have as much impetus to bring your wardens and things like that, so it frees up maybe other options. We are going to see a couple of players dropping, so we'll get to the bottom of that for you. But worth noting, as we get a rehost on the go, worth noting that the new operator Ramora, she is actually in quarantine due to an
yeah.
exploitable bug which has been discovered. So that's maybe why you're not seeing her get banned out in this phase.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I've been treated, had a little bit of watching competitive over the weekend with the Challenger Series qualifiers, and it was a bit of a mixed bag with use of Aurora. Some teams were sticking away from her, not really going near her at all. Of course, the bug that is present with her is you can accidentally trigger it, so it is a bit of a risk playing it. If you accidentally do cause the bug to happen, that could be used against you. So we won't get into that too much. But in terms of an operator herself, some teams really wanted to play with her. They were quite comfortable, and I think she's going to be one of these operators that's going to slip into the meta in this very sort of objective based way in terms of it depends on your style of siege, whether you want to play that plant focused siege and get control of the site and force defenders to make a retake, as well as the objective itself, because ultimately some objectives they don't have a lot of doorways into them, so Rora's effectiveness is going to be limited in those kind of situations.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think she falls into the same kind of style of operator as on attack you see your sledges and your breaches and things like that, and on defense the same as your castles and your azamis. She's an operator which really configures the space around in which you play, as opposed to having like a more direct impact on
Yeah.
getting a frag or interrupting other people's abilities. This one, it's literally interrupting sight lines, and I think that's one thing that's going to be absolutely insanely useful to certain teams. As you say, Travi, that focus on this objective-based gameplay. Speaking of objectives, our objective is at the moment getting that rehost sorted, but whilst we do that, we are going to go to a short break.
Welcome back on in, folks. Thank you for bearing with us during a little bit of a rehost there. Just had to deal with a couple of little technical things. It happens from time to time. We're now ready to get back into the game.
Throwing a dread mine.
Now we're ready to go back into the
10
game.
seconds to
Back
insertion.
in to see how things go. Map number 1, of course, is going to be Chalet between MVG and Team
5 seconds
Synq.
remaining.
Well, the expectation here, I think, is on MVG to be taking this one. But Team
Attackers
Synq,
are heading
they're
out
coming
to
in with
defuse
good
the bomb.
spirits. They're coming in ready to try and take this one over the line. It's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for them, but seen them play before. If
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see. We've got a very standard kind of loadout as we see here for MVG. They're bringing the Ace on Breach, something they pretty frequently do. We're seeing a lot of like kind of the Switch. We're seeing the Takebi. Very standard for them. They like to play fast. They like to play off the back of a lot of intel. Their droning game is very, very strong, and they're going to have a point or two to prove. They're also going to pick up the first kill as Goldies will take the first one down, and it's already a massacre, Travi.
Absolutely so. Scenes here on Chalet to kick things off. Team Synq reduced to just Pete and Unfalls remaining. Logic Bomb's going to go. And here it comes to those two remaining defenders. Players taking a lot to hold on to. A lot of ground, a lot of territory to keep themselves secure under. And they've got the phones ringing in their ears. The players of MVG, they're going to know exactly where they are. Even where they left things off in the previous series. This player, Larry Unfalls, is now under a world of pain. And finally, there you go, towards the ESA, but he gets one back, but I've got a feeling that's all he's going to get, and yes, it is MVG. They're just storming through Chalet and taking match round 1. Like that.
Yeah, Goldies with 2 kills, Isan with 3. I mean, there wasn't really too much strategy to that, was there, Travi? It was just Isan and Goldies, go kill. Go kill. And kill they did. Synq, I don't think maybe you're expecting such a rapid start, but MolotovGang, they're really good at controlling the tempo of a game. Not only in terms of round-to-round momentum, but also just when they click go, they go. And yeah, I think you saw it there, is, you know, the round was basically over in the first minute. Really, really impressive stuff from MVG, doing what we kind of expect from them, using a lot of their operator abilities to just keep Synq off balance and not let them react to these 1v1s. They keep dropping, all of a sudden it's 5v2, and then they can sit back, they can take their time, and then I guess just launch Goldies at you again.
Yeah, I guess that's the strategy. I mean, if you see an opening, you'd be silly not to take it if you're MVG.
Yeah.
Yeah, they must have just seen something in that one and gone, right, if we just brute force this, we can get this round over the line in 30 odd 40 seconds. That's exactly what they did. It worked masterfully, and I think that's the thing as well. We talked about a little bit before the game. It's about not letting MVG get that momentum, start to build, start to get that ball rolling, because once they do, it's a very difficult one to stop. Team Synq, that's not the greatest foot like we're starting the game. Ideally, you want to be trying to bite back and get this round done.
Yeah, so they're going to go for a different side. They're going to go for Kitchen this time. Kitchen and Trophy. So it's going to be a bit of a different round, a bit of a different composition on this one, because I think MVG, they'll have seen that the rush worked, but they're not one to just be like, okay, let's hammer and tongs it. What they'll do is, I would expect, a bit more of an extended roam clearing session. Synq, they're going to be a little more aware of this early game aggression. They're going to get aggressive themselves, and they're going to start taking a little bit of health off Veriox. They're not crucially going to get kills, which will live to fight another day.
Yeah. So, and I like this from Isan here. Noticing the gap in library. They're popping straight in to try and apply more pressure towards these top 4 players. As you said, the roam clear is going to be essential here for MVG. It's the name of the game. However, it's not getting off to the greatest of starters. Vod kicks off the round with an entry pick over towards the gridlock. Now, 2 minutes left on the clock. The bomb's going to be going through. Here comes the first wave, and this is where we're going to expect a burst of aggression coming in from MVG now. Wanting to push up, wanting to try and take some ground, but still wanting the offense. As Unfalls gets aimed another this time round. It's Team Synq with the answers. MVG now in the 2 versus 5 position. This is a difficult one to come back from here. And even harder so as Goldie is going to fall all down to 1. Eine, all that is left standing in 1 versus 5. Ace required on the ace. I don't see this one going back. I think Team Synq should be alright to get this round, surely.
Yeah, playing as they are here on Flute Balcony. They're just waiting. Maybe having a little chat with their teammates because they're not doing anything actively to try and push. Maybe hoping to catch an errant Team Synq player as they charge in around them. They're going to go around. None of these windows are open. They're just kind of trying to pick up a kill or two. Salvage a bit of pride from the round. I don't think at this stage, with a minute gone, Ina can realistically do a huge amount to impact the income. The round was won by 1 minute 30.
Yeah, that's it. All you can do at this point is try and assess how you're going to make the next one go slightly better. Perhaps quick leg next hit pick or two, as Unfalls is going to drop there. But as you say, I think recovering this one all the way back from the 1 versus 5, it was very unlikely to ever happen. And Team Synq, I think after the way that first round went, they're not going to want to be giving away these rounds. They're going to know for every round they're going to get in this series that they're going to have to fight tooth and nail for it. And that means not giving away the man advantages. When you have it like this, see here, we're just going to wait a tiny 20 seconds at around here. See if anything else would be given away from the side of Synq. But it seems likely MVG are going to take the loss in this round, and it seems inevitable at this point. Well, we're going to be 1-for-1 in this series.
5 seconds to go.
Yeah, I mean, they can afford to start throwing themselves out windows. They know exactly where he is. He's on the roof. The timer's on their side. They can leave one person in the building and still win the round, as they do on time. But realistically, I said it halfway through, that was won very early on. That was won by 1 minute 30. Absolutely impressive response from Synq to actually bring it back. We have been informed there is going to be another technical rehost, so we will be getting back. But let's have a little chat before we go off, just on how those first 2 rounds have gone, because I'm really interested in your thoughts, Travi, on how these two teams, the interplay. There's been a little bit of trash talk going on. These two teams quite clearly do not like each other. And these two, I mean, these last 2 rounds have been proven that neither team's really on top of their game, are they?
No. I think 2 rounds like that, either won, when either way lost, they've not been close rounds. They've been total washouts by the team that have won the rounds. And as you say, these 2 teams, perhaps there's a little bit of beef between them, and I think it's almost reflecting in the play style, the way these rounds have been going. They've been aggressive, and as you've said, they're over within the first 15, 20 seconds of the round. It's like, oh, the round's over. There's 7 people left alive in the server, and most of the one team are dead. It's 1-to-1, so it's going to be a bit back and forth. I've got a feeling. I don't think it's going to be quite a one-sided affair as we progress on, but at least if things keep going the way they have been, it's going to be a very aggressive, very bloodthirsty series we've got on our hands here.
Absolutely. Like I say, we are going to be going for that rehost just while we get things a little bit prim and proper, all tidied up. So we will be cutting just to another very short break. Don't go anywhere, because this match is going to be spicy.
Bomb located.
Welcome back on in, folks. Thank you for bearing with us through that rehost. Unfortunately, as I say, these things do tend to happen from time to time. Some days a little more often than others. But if you missed the first couple of rounds, well, I wouldn't blame you. You blink and they went by just like that. 2 very, very quick rounds there, decided within the first 40 seconds or so of them. Just they went by just like that. Delta, what happened?
Well, both teams, I think, are playing off the back of a lot of emotion, aren't they? I mean, we mentioned before we went to break that both teams, they kind of don't really like each other too much, and I think that's shown in the gameplay because neither team is playing to the standard that I think we know they can do. We saw MolotovGang, they dropped their first round of the They're still their first round of the whole tournament, so Team Synq, that's an achievement in itself, I suppose. But we also saw both teams not only lose a round, but completely fall apart on a round. So neither team at their best, and I think it's going to be an emotional game of Siege, which I think isn't really bad for you and I, the neutral, the viewer. But for both these teams, it means it's going to be a long night, a long old shift.
Yeah, long old day in the office here, very, very likely if things keep going the way they have been. I mean, as I say, when you've got these emotions in, if you ask me, I think it's great to have them. It fuels you as a player. It means you want to make sure things happen, but they also can work against you. It's that mental game of, oh, I shouldn't have done that. It's making sure that while you can let those emotions fuel your play, you can't be letting them getting in the way and letting them start to cost you rounds. And so small little mistakes that you might make, they're going to be the mistakes that are going to cost you these games on a macro scale. And at the end of the day, you want to be getting that win here. You want to be moving on to that 2-0 bracket here in Swiss. How are we trying to get this game done?
Yeah, so here we see MolotovGang. I mean, their drone game is pretty strong, but they've taken a long time to set up. And I think in the rehost, they probably had a little chat amongst themselves and said, you know what, we're rushing. We're not able to rush right now in the mentality that we're at. Let's slow it down. Let's be really methodical about how we play round 3, and let's try and make sure of it. And I don't even think we've really seen a gunfight. We're almost down to the last minute of the round. We are back down there in bar this time on the ground floor, but there's so few running gun battles that we're seeing at the moment. It's all going to kick off in one long, protracted one as we tick down into the last minute.
There you go, you can see here, Sean going up towards the doorway of game, wants to get in there, wants to take that gunfight, and it's just going to be an explosion, but it's going to be going the other way. Pizza finds the first one. MVG, they now have to try and claw this one back, and as you say, the way they've been playing it, it's been slow. They've not been forceful, and you can see in the bottom right of your screen, down on all the player positions, Team Synq still have a good amount of control over the entirety of the maps. As we approach these final sort of 35 seconds of the round here, it does start to question a little bit for MVG is how are you going to get this one over the line? It's going to be difficult to do so. You'll have some utility. However, you've lost the dope, and that's your stun grenades gone, that's your logic bombs gone. All you've got left in pocket in terms of secondary utility is claymores. However, who needs utility when you've got a gun like the FAMAS? Goldies take down pieces with the FAMAS storming in. Pod falls as well, double for Goldies upstairs, cleaning through library for the time being. There you go, 15 seconds, no choice but to brute force inside here, but Ine, they're making it work. Unfortunately, does get one back though, but 3 versus 2, it's the clock that's going to be the deciding factor in front. Can they deny the plant? Not from above, unfortunately, going to be able to do so. And Pete, just about, it's a little bit risky, but just about hits the shots when they're needed most. Denies the plant, denies the round, and Synq, they walk away with their second.
That's lovely. That is fantastic. Pete, take a bow, son. Because you were losing that round up until that point. You know, MolotovGang, they took a long time to set up their attack. This execute, absolutely lovely. They covered the angles. They were about to get the plant down. That delay, I think there, you saw, I think it was Ine. They were about to plant the fuser, then they stood up, they repositioned around to this bar area. That's where they fell, because they weren't covering that hallway. If they'd have stuck the plant from there, with that top floor being covered, then, it would have been so much of a better round for them. They'd have been able to actually get that round 3. But, I mean, take nothing away from Pete. That's absolutely fantastic. No. And you can't say fairer than that. But another round, another rehost, Travi.
Yeah, another round, another rehost. I mean, that makes it 3 so far. 3 rounds, 3 rehosts. I guess tonight is going to be one of those cursed nights. I feel where this might be happening. Hopefully, not too much more. As I say, from paper, from the 3 rounds we've seen so far, it's going to be a close night of Siege, an exciting night of Siege. Even in that round just there, it was very fine margins separating Synq and MVG. So, before we're going to see a little bit more of it, as I said, going to have to head to another rehost. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with this next game in just a few.
Oh, and welcome back to the ESA Cup Season 10 Playday 2, MolotovGang versus Team Synq. And so far, Travi, we are 3 for 3 on rounds to rehosts. It's 2-1 currently to Team Synq after a fantastic kind of clutch play from Pete at the end of round 3, where the defuse didn't go down maybe in the place where it could have done or should have done by MVG. That afforded Team Synq the time to rotate around, find an angle, and pop the diffuser with I think it was 30 milliseconds left on the clock, Charlie. It was quite wonderful to see. How do we think round 4 is going to go?
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
This is the fun thing. This game has been back and forth so far, both in round counts and the way it's been played. Of course, MVG, they are in attack. They're probably the ones controlling the tempo of these rounds a little bit more in that regard. And the first 2 rounds, they were played fast, they were played aggressive, they were over within 30, 40 seconds of starting, whereas round 3, on the other hand, was a lot slower. MVG were playing it methodically, slowly clearing things out. This round seems like we're back towards what it was initially. Start things off very, very early pick there. Goldie's going to be the one to fall. That's not a great start. You're losing your Grim. That's a lot of key execution. That's going to become useful later on in the round here. You see MVG, they're circling below. They want to try and get this pick back. They want to try and level out the man count. But might be a bit of an ask to it.
yeah, MVG, they play off the back of a lot of intel. We've seen their drone game. Their drone game is very, very strong. Obviously, now we also bring in the Bloods drones. But losing Grim is going to affect their late game execute. So now it depends. Do they hit the go button, Travi, or do they sit back? Do they try and gather themselves back in? They put the dog down, but naturally the dog, once he's safe, can get himself back up. Variok's not going to let that happen. He'll make sure that the job is done. 4v4 then, as we head into the second half of round 4.
Time is now going to be for MVG. You've got on the library. It's a good start to them. You need to start now working your way, eyeing up towards the objective here. However, at the bottom right of your screen, Pizza's down in towards the basement though. Going for a bit of a flank up West Main now. MVG, they've still got quite a bit of map to clear here. And you do have to worry a little bit as you can see there. They're just going down in towards the basement now to try and chase that player who's no longer down there. And it's just that time burning, I think, from MVG there. Clearing library, I think losing goldies right off the back of the round starting. That way, that meant MVG had to react, change their plan a little bit, and that cost them time. And it's such a precious resource when you're on the attack. Whereas now, 50 seconds on the clock, it's 4 versus 4. But MVG, I think they're still yet to try and find how they want to try and convert this round into a victory here, at least. I'm going to have to think, take everything they've got in there. Frag Grenade's going to be going in now, trying to clear a player out of Piano, but Pizza not going to be cleared out. Instead, going to get an idea to swing off the back of it. Knows about the one on the back there. He's going to be going for a bigger prize.
Nice.
He's going to be going for the Brava on the mezzanine. And now you've got a massive problem, and it's getting even bigger by the second. Doubling around for Pizza, and it's now all down to Ina. Outside, on the office, goes in, gets a kill, but I've got a feeling that's all it's going to be. Solo closes it out, and Synq, well, they're now up on a 3-1 lead on their opponent's map pick, and just when it was looking like it was really going to be a close game, Synq, the momentum is starting to roll in, everything's starting to click a little bit, and this amazing play from Pizza here, I love this from them. Go inside, and now you're right in the opponent's safe space, you're right in the middle of them, and they have no idea that you could just cause so much chaos from that position, exactly what Pizza did. Throws the whole game idea of MVG into total disarray, and single-handedly there winning Synq the round.
Listen, it might be the gameplay, it might be the trash talk, it might be the rehost, whatever it is, it's knocked MVG off their game, because I think if you played them in every other game, there is a flank cam, and Goldies, who fell first in that round, is on that flank cam. But there was no flank cam. The Legion, Pete allowed to just Pizza allowed to just sneak out really tight, basically through the lines. You know, if you were to equate it to like rugby, they just cut the line straight open, didn't they? And they were able to get around, kill the person on Mez, get around, jump over, kill the person on Blue. It was very, very fast. It was absolutely wonderful, opportunistic move that cut the round entirely. Very, very nice play from Pizza there. And Synq, that's their third round on a trot. What was I saying at the start of the game, Travi? That Synq, they need to come out swinging, they need to come out, make a statement of intent on the league itself, and look at what they've done. They're currently 3-1 up against the reigning champions.
Exactly. I mean, it's a great start from Synq. I think after the first round kind of didn't go their way, they just kind of got absolutely shut down by MVG. But there's a little bit of panicking, thinking, oh no, is it going to be a very, very quick night? But no, Synq, they've answered back. The last 3 rounds they played perfectly. We've had a mix of just exploding on the kill feed in round number 2 to some really great individual plays in round 3 and 4 that have been decisive, getting these matches and these rounds over the line. It's really, really crucial that things are going to be keeping to go this way. Well, for the time being, at least. 2 minutes now on the clock. Riox is going to be the first one to fall down over on the side of MolotovGang. Synq, they're continuing their spree. Doing well on the guns in this game, but they're going to need to keep it going. As Ishan wants to change that question, wants to try and change things up a little bit. He's going to find Pete. Here comes the flank from up. Do they know about it? Behind takes the shield down, but only going to be able to get one. It's a good response there from MVG. C4 from below. It's going to be able to be popped, and there you have it. A repeat of the first round where MVG, they find an opening, explode straight into the objective, straight shut down Synq before they can really get started in that one.
Yeah, very unfortunate on that C4 below, because I think you just waited too long. You know, if you're going to throw it, throw it. You know, don't mess about with it. Just either shoot up or throw the C4 up. But I think it was inconsequential according to the rest of the round. That was a very nice rotate around, tight rotate, but this time, rather than cutting through the line, Isan able to flick around and stop
Attackers
that
have discovered the
rotating
location
from
of a bomb.
bathroom. And that was a bit of a return to form for Molotov. Get in there, get aggressive, get very, very attacking gameplay on the go, and knock Synq off momentum. I think the rounds where they fall on down are rounds where they try and play into their more methodical game, which is by no means a bad game. They're very, very good at it. But Synq, once they've been allowed to burn that time, we've seen them on the roam being very, very strong at knocking the attackers off balance.
10 seconds
That
to
affects the
insertion.
rest of the round, and it's like kind of cumulative amount of things that
5
just
seconds to
they
insertion.
spiral. So they do, Stravi. They spiral. When MolotovGang, when
Attackers
they
are heading
attack,
out
when
to
they're
defuse
very
the bomb.
aggressive and direct, they don't
Attackers
suffer
dropped the
from that.
diffuser. Attackers recovered the
It's
bomb
that
diffuser.
word we've been saying quite a lot this matchup that starts with M. No, it's not Molotov, it is momentum. All about starting it and keeping it rolling. When you've got this back and forth like this, it's like we're seeming to have so far, it's going to be very hard for one team to keep it, but in the individual rounds, and for the rounds itself at least, it's a game of keeping that momentum starting and keeping that ball rolling over on the sides. LMVG there, as you saw, they started the round off strong and they just kept it over there. They kept building the foundations that they laid in the early start. And it really did work out for them in the end of it, getting them where we find ourselves now. This time round, though, we're back to bar gaming. It's going to have to be a little bit of a slower one here from MVG, at least for the start of things. A bit of a repeat of what we saw the last time this site was played, where MVG, they're going to play it slower. They're going to assess their options, and then, right when they think they found the correct opening, the correct method of getting this site cracked, they're going to take the opportunity. They're going to jump in, start getting the kills.
Yeah, and contrary to before, whilst Fireaxe is getting that kill, they are being a little bit slower. They're taking their time to start setting up the site how they want to set it up for an attacking push. Fireaxe picking up that kill onto Solo, while Solo's roaming. It's not very, very often so far that we've seen them lose out on the early roam game. They're not going to be burning that time anymore.
No more time burnt for the time being, at least. However, what you see here from Team Synq is they're mostly retreating back towards the area around the objective now. MolotovGang have done a decent amount of control to control the majority of the map. They just now need to circle in on the final hurdle here, which is, of course, not only going to be the objective, but this library position above it. Such a key position to hold here on bar gaming. However, Pete, he's going to drop Isan down, and Nanai is going to go also. It's 2 now for Team Synq as the plant's going to be attempted, but are they in a position to cover it? No, they're not. On Falls Find 1, it is definitely going to be going down right good on the cover for a little bit, but now going to have to cover this post-plant. It's not going to happen. Team Synq, they get the kills, they get themselves yet another round here.
I'm wondering what's happened. I'm wondering what's happening, to be honest, because I've watched quite a lot of MVG over these last few months. It's not overly often that they actually go out there and try to get a plant down. Quite often they'll go very aggressive and direct. Whilst they will, maintain control of the diffuser, they're not going to go out and be like, right, okay, here's how we get this site in a condition for us to plant. And we've seen them now lose 2 rounds where they're in that post-plant scenario, and they drop, they drop frags. So it's one of those things where I'm wondering what has prompted this kind of switch in mentality from we're going to go and actually, just win on frags, which is what they do 95% of the time. So now, half the rounds they lost in a post-plant context.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your notes here, Master Office has been played twice, and MVG, they won the first one just off of by sheer aggression, sheer speed. It's been played 3 times, sorry. MVG 2 out of 3 times won it, sheer aggression, sheer speed. Other time round, it was Synq answering it with the bit of aggression back. That was that amazing play from Pizza, if you call back to that one. Our gaming, though, as you say, twice played, twice a plant from MVG, but Synq have recovered the round off of the back of either the individual play of Pizza, or they're just outgunning them all and out using the man advantage to their advantage in that post-plant situation. And it feels like MVG, they're playing different games on different objectives. They're trying to keep Synq guessing with how they're playing. They're going from aggression to a more methodical style and everything else in between. And while it seems to be working in some of the rounds, perhaps the more aggressively leaning ones, the rounds where things take a bit more of a strategical focus, a bit slower of an approach, that's perhaps where MVG struggle a little bit, because in being slower, Synq have the opportunity to kind of read into that as you're making that strategy and on the go. If you're not going really, really fast, gives them an opportunity to go, hey, that's what they're doing. And they make the calls, they make the adjustments. And for Synq, it's been working out for them.
Oh, you know what it is, though, Travis? You know what it is, don't you? They're not playing their own game.
They're not playing their own game.
They're playing Synq's game. What you said has just clicked that in my head. They're trying to keep Synq off balance. Whereas MolotovGang, one of the things that they're really, really good at is just going out there and playing their own game and beating the other teams into submission, but through very quick, very aggressive, direct action. But they've come up with opponents in Team Synq who aren't really responsive to that. You know what I mean? They're trying to play them off balance, and I'm wondering if they've been rattled maybe by the events today, by the trash talk, by the rehosts, and just by losing that momentum that they usually would be enjoying at this point of a game.
Yeah. When you're a team at the top of the league, you imagine that you have a lot of control. You feel like you have a lot of control over things.
Mm-hmm.
And when these extra additional factors come in, the rehosts, the bit of trash talk going back and forth, that all adds up into losing that feeling of control. And the MVG, I wouldn't say in that attack, in a lot of those rounds, they didn't feel like they had a lot of control over the rounds and how it was going. As you say, Synq are very comfortable, they feel, in the way they've been playing around. They're quite happy to let things go the way they've been going. They'll be probably walking away from that half quite happy. I mean, as you say, look towards the previous results of MVG. They 14-0'd the previous team they played, Team 27. So the result Team Synq have already achieved is already better than MVG have been tested so far in Season 10. And I think Synq are probably going to be quite happy with how that one's been going. Of course, we'll have to wait and see how the second half fares, of course, as, it's a game of two halves at the end of the day. What could be transpiring on the attack for MVG, this sort of uncertainty almost, and wanting to play into a little bit of Team Synq a little bit. It might be the total other way around as we approach half number 2 here.
That's the thing, and I think you knocked the nail on the head. It is a game of two halves because we haven't yet seen Team Synq attack MVG. We've not seen them attack on Charlie, so it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic changes. But one thing I think I would wager actually is that Team Synq, they're not going to be very happy at this extended bout of being paused, purely because this is momentum that they are losing. This is momentum where they've just won 4-2 on their own half, on their own defensive half, on the map that MVG picked, and yet we've just had a little 2-minute break. In amongst all the rehosts, I would imagine that actually they're saying, no, we've won these rounds, we're the ones in control of the game right now, let's keep going.
Yeah.
But obviously technical rehosts, it can't really be avoided. We are going to get back into it though. Team Synq now on the attack, and MVG looking to hold on and play the defensive advantage on Chalet. We are going to be in that kitchen dining area for round 7.
Imagine a game of Siege like a book. We've opened up, first chapter's been written, it's been said and done, but now we're going to approach this new chapter, this new start possibly for both of our main sort of focus teams here. The question is, will MolotovGang continue to struggle? And will Team Synq continue to flourish? As you say, these pauses, these rehosts, they can't make it easy to sort of build that momentum, but perhaps it's playing into Team Synq's favour. As we said, MVG, they're the ones that were this match with momentum, so perhaps going the other way, Synq, and I think Synq will know as well, they're the underdogs going into this matchup. And we've seen it, all over Siege, all sorts of competition throughout the entirety of the last year. Sometimes that underdog buff can do really, really good, not only for your mental, but just also teams that are coming in as the favourites. A, pressure, and B, confidence. And sometimes confidence can get the better of you in these situations. If you go into it expecting an easy win and it's suddenly not, and you've not accounted for it, that can be really troublesome.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one thing that they may not have accounted for is we see their solo one Synq. They've taken Striker, so they, instead of a gadget, they've actually opted to... Oh, that's a nice little flick there from Goldies. That's going to kind of put pay to my suggestion that it'll be a surprise, but they're going to opt for throwables over gadgets. But first, you need to live long enough to use those throwables, don't you?
Yeah, you're going to need to live long enough, as I said before. Grim, not having too much luck, anyone playing Grim today. End of round sort of execute operator, but you can see, another C4, beautiful one from Ina as Solo goes down, and that's the Striker. Well, not going to have too much play in this round. Exothermic burn as well. God, still can't get the wall open because of the huge amount. You can see they're powering in the wall because they don't have the top floor of this map control still locked down. As you can see here, Pizza's still fighting over Piano. And MVG, they've got 3 members. They actually outnumber Team Synq here on the top floor alone. It's one of these positions that for MVG is going to be really, really advantageous here. If they don't give anything away, they should be alright to take this round here. However, Pizza is going to be given a go. It's going to be charging in through Piano. Takes down the Fenrir, takes down Goldies. As you see here, Unfall supported as well as two-man assault across the top floor, but one of those men is going to be going down. But whilst that is the flank from Fod over on the Solarian Repel, finds one back, but now it's all down to Fod, left outside the building. Sure, the flank works for one kill, but your position's known now. Not only do you have a problem in the window here, so the sound cue is going to be coming out, and Briox closes it out. MVG, they answer back here, round number 7. And it was good start to the half from them, and I think these first couple of rounds here in the half, perhaps this one that's just gone and the next round coming, it's going to be very, very telling for how things are going to go. Because if MVG can get both these rounds, they're going to be finding themselves on a 4-4 scoreline. We're back to where we started, and that advantage that we feel like Team Synq sort of worked towards in that first half, that's going to be gone, done, and dusted. Synq,
Yeah,
I think they're going to really need to stop.
Yeah, so I think really want to keep that momentum going, but I think they really fell foul of some poor intel game there. They had no idea what was behind that wall. Goldies was able to just sneak up and point blank pop the Grim, pop Heat. So it wasn't really the most coordinated of games of rounds there from Team Synq. You really need to focus in and knuckle down on that intelligence gaining portion, in the prep phase. But then it's not just a prep phase thing. That's the kind of bit which distinguishes, rounds where you can be a bit more like a Daisical, you can be a bit more runny and gunny. In comp, you really need to have that kind of focus on, we need to know what's going on all the time, so when players go down, you cycle through cams, you're always trying to get that extra bit of intel to bolster your side, and we didn't really see that from Synq there, and I think that might be a key point in between their game and MVG's game on attack.
And perhaps the operator lineup is responding to that a little bit, reading through. You see there, Don't Be the Line and the Grim, all three of those operators very focused on gathering intel, especially using perhaps even later in the round or even earlier. So when you're just trying to make coordinated decisions across the map, Synq, they want big part of their loss last round. They didn't know what was going on a lot of the time, and it was a massive struggle for them here. Whereas this time round, they're going to be probably taking things a little bit slower, so just so they can have a bit of a better read in things, so they can be more comfortable doing so. Trying to isolate these individuals, try and make these one-on-one gunfights happen. But over on MVG, I mean, one operator that you can see now on the screen that's caught my eye a little bit is Ina on this Clash.
Ina, I'll say this for them, Ina is insane on Clash. Ina can control a whole floor on Clash. I've seen him do it, I've seen him do it on console, I've seen him do it on Clubhouse in that kind of, rafters area, and then also down below in the entrance to stock, that area. They're insane on Clash. They're an exceptionally strong player. And Shields being as strong as they are, you want that in your lineup.
Yeah. And I suppose if Team Synq are taking this round, as a bit mentioned, perhaps a bit slower because of the intel thing, as we mentioned, Clash is the perfect operator to play when you're playing these rounds a little bit slower. But Beats are going to be taking a lot of damage from their own frag grenade there, as locked out of the window on the Repel by their Clash, and now you've got to be careful of that Clash the entirety of the round, because a couple of that from that shield and that shoot done from dust. Briox falls from below. I don't know if Solo notices there that the player is down, but it's one apiece now, 4 versus 4. Final minute, 10 seconds of the round. Here comes Unfalls. He's the castle looking the wrong way. Finds the hit, but yet again, just trades the game, trades at the minute. Solo's going to go down, and 3 versus 3. Minute left on the clock. Things are about to get dicey here in the bloodbath, but see, the Clash is still on the board, and she's going to be really, really pivotal in providing this intel late on towards the round here. Team Synq, they've still got plenty of drones in pocket, 6 available to them. However, all logic bombs spent, all E1Ds spent, 2 flashbangs in pocket, and that's all you've really got in terms of rating. With Team Synq, time forces push, and now you're going to have to do it from a man disadvantage as well. As Unfalls goes down, and the Clash just staring in the face of Pete. What can you do? Shots on the window, on the Repel, a little bit windy as Pizza hops in, almost certainly their demise. Swing comes out on MVG. They level things out, 4-4 now. And all things are tied here in the server.
Yeah, when Ina's locked into a corner like that, because they didn't have piano control, Team Synq, they weren't able to get around, so she could just sit there. And from there, she can very easily control not only the breach that she was looking at, she can also move like 3 feet to her right. And she can look through towards the astrology door, towards that area. It's not astrology, sorry, Solarium. She can look all the way towards Solarium door. She can move to her left and very easy cover bathroom. And without any kind of explosives or anything like that, or piano control, you can't force her out.
No way of getting her out of that position. It's a really, really tough one now. I mean, MVG, credit to them. They played that round really well, as they have really so far for the start of this half, really. Two really, really great defensive rounds here, and that advantage that Team Sync built, that's kind of gone now. You're now at a position where you now have to try and fight, because if you don't win this round, you're
10
now
seconds
going to
to
be
go.
on the receiving end of that sort of round count advantage. It's your opponent's
5
what is going to be
seconds
their
left.
tertiary bomb site. One thing that we know about Chalet is all 4 of the bomb sites here, they're
Attackers are
really
moving
strong
to
bomb
defuse
sites,
the
so, you know, I
bomb.
wouldn't really count any one of them out as being a good spot for the defensive to be here. Something that's just caught my eye, bottom left of the screen, is Goldie's on the Legion with a 612 SD, I believe is the name of that shotgun. One we don't see all too often. It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. But, you know, what if you're playing some tight angles with it, you can certainly make it work. If it can't work, a little bit of an interesting pick that we don't always see a lot of.
I wonder how much of that is deliberate. I think obviously
Yeah.
we'll see as the round comes through, but I do wonder how much of that is deliberate and how much of that is, oh, the season's restarted, good luck, do all your loadouts again.
Yeah, I wanted to be an optimist in this one, but sometimes I think helpful to have a realist on the higher side, to be honest about it, yeah. Perhaps not an intentional one there from Goldies, but you know what? You still might be able to make it work. You never know what might be able to happen. But the Synq, the first goal of this round, is going to be his library controller. We just see Solo charging him through, but guess what? You're swinging the Warden.
Or
Uses the utility, answers right back. Unfalls though, does find Variety, but it's still a couple players of MolotovGang upstairs. Still quite early on into the round here. So start from Team Synq, but here comes this Nook. God finds one upstairs, and look at this Nook's right on the door of the objective. Do MVG have any idea how close they are to possible doom here? Unfortunately, going to go for a little bit of a flank, as Synq, well, they've got a man advantage. They've reduced MVG down to 3, and they've still got half the round to play, so it's plenty of time for them to try and sort of assess, perhaps get another pick before they really do go for that final execute here. As the end of the round is looming upon us, I feel.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's still +1 on picks at the halfway point. I don't think Solo necessarily needs to jump in there. I think that's maybe a bit of a soft concession of a life. Oh, that's very tight there on the angle. Surprising they weren't able to get those rounds on target there. From the upside down hanging, but there we go, on Repel. But yeah, I don't think Solo needs to sacrifice their life. They could have been 5-3, not 5-4. Sorry, 4-3. Without that pressure on Mez being fully in place, it was a bit of a soft one. And now the round has taken a bit of a slower tempo. Peter will pick up Isan for a bit of a flanking maneuver. Goldies and Niner, the back's against the wall now, under pressure. We are going to see their Goldies with the 612 ST lurking, lingering down on bottom stairs. Aina will take a shot from the attackers as it starts to constrict in around Robbie.
That's it. You can see there, Goldie's looking for trying to find a pick, looking to try and find a way back in this one. The only thing you can really work in MolotovGang's favour right now is going to be that clock at the top of your screen. We're approaching the 15-second mark. The attackers are going to have to get a move on. They've got the map control, they've got the utility to do so, but do they have the picks on their side? Well, Goldies does find one with the shotgun, storming into the objective, but unable to get a second. But what's this? Kid's not going down, but it doesn't matter. Unfalls finds it. Synq, they explode onto site, work that man advantage. Sure, they push time a little bit to the extreme of it, end of it, but matters naught. They get the round over the line and they keep their advantage in this map going for just a little while longer.
Yeah, that was quite key, that. Disrupting that bit of MVG momentum before it turned into something worse. That was really well played there from Synq. But I would say you probably don't want to cut it that close because, you know, it was a matter of seconds on the clock there. Broadly, despite the critique I had there on Solo, that was not a bad round at all. And the team, they're all stepping up for each other. One thing that I think has maybe got a little under the radar is, you know, over the course of the rehost, those first couple of rounds, those first 3 rounds, Unfouls wasn't really doing amazing. They were, you know, maybe conceding a little early. They're now 7-5 so far. They're doing very, very well in terms of how they're going out and they're taking these 1v1s and then multiple 1v1s in a row. Pizza, we saw them stepping up in the defensive round back in round 4 where they just, you know, cut right through MolotovGang, and the whole team, they're stepping up and they're all having very, very strong moments. MolotovGang can do this, but they're all just having good games so far.
That's it. We're going to need someone to step up. We're going to need to go from someone good, great. It's an ask, but one of them certainly can do it, you know. as I say, there's a reason they are the reigning champions going into this season. All 5 of these players have the skill required to do it. It's just a question of who is going to be the one to really get them over the line of this game. Because so far here on Chalet, it's been real fine margins between these two. Not too much separating them, I'd argue. At the end of the day, you see it in the scoreline. We're round 10 with 4 to 5. Currently only one between them, and Synq. This is where I start to think they can try and do what they did last round, which is play a little bit slower. That seemed to work for them. Sure, perhaps not quite as slow, perhaps not leave it to the last second. But get a couple of early picks, slow it down, and then just try and find the best possible solution to getting the round over the line from there. It's a strategy that worked for them last time. Got a feeling it's what they're going to be attempting there, and as the game has slowed, as rounds go slower, it seems like throughout the whole series, not just on their defense, but their attacks as well, MVG struggle when things are going slower, whether that's them choosing to do so on the attack or Synq taking things a bit slower. That seems to be where MVG is struggling. When Synq just run at them, gun at them, that's when MVG win. If Synq realise that's the weakness, that's how to play it, they should be alright, I reckon.
Yeah, you see their Synq, they've got a much improved intel game compared to their previous rounds on attack. They've started using the clutch drone, they're taking enemy utility away from them, as well as putting their own drones in the areas that they need to be. It's so much better.
Much better than it has been for them, as you can see. So much utility as well. Obviously, bulletproof cameras over on the pocket of MVG. They're going to be going the other way now. Clutch drones take down the FNAT mines, the Banshees, which of course, they'll come into play during the late round there. A lot of drone-focused utility, and that's exactly what Synq are going to be wanting from this one. They get the first pick over towards Goldies. They're going to be falling down, and as well, you lose the Fenrir. They're unable to reallocate any of those FNAT mine charges, so you're not going to be able to change which mines are activated now. Whichever ones were are going to be going into the graveyard. That's a good start to the round from Synq. However, 45 seconds on the clock. Now we've got to start worrying about that time a little bit here. We saw last round really come down to the wire on the clock, and I've got a feeling this one may be going the same way. Synq, they do have the advantage right now, man cup, but they need to get it. They need to try and find that opening, because otherwise, ESA is going to shut down VOD out of the round, and this is what's going to happen. You're going to charge him with a nickel. 3 versus 3 though. Here comes Solo charging in through top west main. Unfalls above. Pizza going in through the breach or towards the site. Finds ESA, and here comes the collapse from Synq and charging in on towards objective. They have control. Going to be attempting to get the kit down, but it's C4 from below from INET. Throws it up, hits his mark, and that throws chaos amongst the ranks. Solo has no choice but to cover the diffuser, stick the plant, but should be able to be denied from here. And MVG good. You have to tie things up 5 to 5, and they're going to do just that as Solo falls. And 5 to 5 as we move towards round 11. After the next round, one of these teams is going to have a chance of closing this one out in regulation. Otherwise, it's going to have to be overtime for them. But that round, I mean, that was a back and forth one, but I've got a feeling the time management there just got the better of Team Synq in that one.
Aina, the hero, I'll say. I mean, yeah, absolutely time management. You know, we were saying that, you know, in the previous round as well, where it went right down to the wire. It went down to like 2-3 seconds. This one went down a little bit further. Where they did get the diffuser down just in time, but this from Aina, when I saw it, I didn't quite register where it was, and I wanted to say, what are you doing? Get into the fight! Well, Aina, no, they know a little better than me, and Aina's going to play the hero role for MolotovGang in round 10. 5-all! And this is fascinating, because this is an MVG, which I don't think we've seen truly tested in a good while, and Team Synq, they're giving as good as they get. This is going to be... Are we going to see a map 3 today, Travi? I think this one's going to go the distance, based on what I've seen so far.
You know what? I can really, really hope we do see a map 3 today. So Cafe is the one map that both these teams have played so far here in Season 10. So it's a fair... and they both won it, so it's a fair sort of place for both of these teams to go and give it a go to try and see, you know, the decider of it here.
Attackers must
mind for your votes. It's Thursday as well. ESA is on, which is obviously the most important thing. But a little afterwards, that will be the Siege extra reveal. What's that? But focus on the game at hand here. Hey, one of these teams is now going to have the opportunity to close this one out in regulation. I mean, neither of these teams, they don't want to go to overtime, you know. It's going to be a competitive best of 3, and as I say, MVG is how do they respond to being tested now, because I think regardless of how this match and this entire series goes, Team Synq are going to be gunning for it the entire time. They're going to be testing MolotovGang, really pushing them to their limits and trying to find out where they are. And for Synq, they're probably really happy with the result right now, but they want to get, and they've realised now, we can get the job done, we can do this. And that's what they're going to be doing here. Looking into round 11, they're going to be giving the attack yet another go. Let's see if they're going to be able to do this or not.
Yeah, I think both teams, they can be proud of how they played so far because they both bounced back in a very strong way from where they were. And where they were was, you know, a very emotional, very swingy state at Siege. They've both brought it back and they're both playing their own game of Siege right now. And it's this constant back and forth between which kind of Siege is, you know, getting played that little bit stronger. We are going to see, this is Roam Clear coming out from Solo, who notably for the first round on attack has switched away from Striker, so away from all that throwable utility there on the book. And they're going to be able to do a little bit of vertical gameplay from below.
Yeah. Pop the vertical, use that butt to its advantage. I mean, look towards the whole lineup for Team Synq. It's fairly standard. It's what we sort of expect to see from them. Well-rounded lineup, but Ina over on the defense is back over on the clash, and we saw how useful that operator was the previous time it was played. Round number 8, so fingers crossed. For if you're a fan of MolotovGang, that's exactly going to be as they did previously. Solo taking a little bit of damage, vertical being used against him in a gunfight with Cade here. The things coming out, the information being given through. Think, well, here come the flashbacks. I've got a feeling they might want to try and push this one here. As you can see here, players moving in towards the objective. He's going to be storming the lead, actually behind the chassis over in Medring. Riot going to be need to be taken care of. If this plant is going to be able to be going down, that's exactly what's going to happen. Unfalls finds another one elsewhere as well. And now it's a 3 versus 5 position. But here comes the flank. But he is on the watch, finds Goldies, finds the second on behind it. And now it's all down to one remaining player, but not for long. Team Synq, they take the round. They get themselves an opportunity to take their opponent's map in from them in regulation. They're looking mighty good to do so.
Yeah, I mean, the game is it's in a state where it's not swingy in the way that one team will absolutely dominate another team, and then it'll happen the exact same way in reverse. I'd still say it's quite swingy in that it's very hard to determine the outcome in advance of any given round, because both of these teams, they're giving it a lot. And it's really impressive to see how Team Synq, you know, they played that kind of slow gameplay still. They're still being very methodical, but they brought that intel game up, and when it was time to execute, they executed extremely quickly. They got those picks earlier in the gunfight than maybe they would have previously. They established that site control, and they were ready to, you know, play in a post plan still with 30 seconds on the clock. So that was very, very well executed, and I think it's maybe a little brave of MVG to take us back to that same site. This will be the first time actually that we've seen the same site played twice in a row. So is that a psychology thing, Travi? Is that saying, okay, you took it from us, but we know we can hold it? Is that saying you didn't win that round, we lost it? How do they approach that there?
I mean, it's a difficult call to make why you're coming back to this one. I mean, MVG, the clash worked the first time around. Definitely the stars have showed the previous time it was played, but the time it was played a second ago didn't really help much there. Team Synq were able to work around it, and you can see MVG, they're changing up the strategy. The operator lineup this time around, it does look different to what was thought before. As we head, of course, in towards the final round here of regulation. So, for MVG, I think they're going to be attempting the site again with a different goal in mind, a different game plan in mind. And Team Synq, it's down to them now. The ball is now in their part of the court. They need to be able to respond to it. They need to be able to find a strategy and need to be able to find something that's going to get them this round over the line here. It's going to be a tough one, I definitely think, this time around. I think, as I say, they're not going to be repeating the same attack on the MolotovGang strategy. Last time they used the learnings from the failings before, they used them, applied it, they won the round. Well, this time you've basically got a whole new canvas you're working with here. It's going to be a very difficult one for them. And the start of it, of course, is going to be this roam clear.
Very slow start that we've come to expect from Synq. Of course, Caster's Curse, I say that, they're going to take the hero of the hour off. They're going to take Ina down on the Goyo, so that's going to be pretty powerful. But they will already have had their Goyo canisters down already. Goldie's taking a gunfight, almost losing themselves as Team Synq. They're out here to win in regulation, like they say. They're here. They're very, very aggressively going to try and take this. And Goldie's will get caught out as he rotates away by Synq. That's the roam clear complete. Very well done from Synq. Variox, audio call comes in. Audio bugs nowhere near here as he and his son will start evening it up. 3v3 as we cross the halfway mark, going into the last minute of the game now. Team Synq able to win in regulation, but it's going to be a very difficult proposition. They don't have the numerical advantage that they had last time round.
It's going to be a tough one. I mean, just when I was ready to close the book on Chalet here, MVG, they find themselves 2 picks. They answer back and look at who's went down. Unfalls, the star of the show. The only player currently on double digits in terms of kills within the entire lobby. Now down in the ground. It's going to have to be a recovery between Synq. They've still got some useful operators. Of course, you've got the Hibana on the high breach. You've got the Grim on the execute. So you've arguably not lost the worst operator. Same case for these defenders. But it's just getting worse for Team Synq as MVG, they claim another one's life, but it's all down to Pete and Pizza. What can they get going in the final 25 seconds of the round here? Is overtime going to be required on the Chalet? Well, that's the question being raised. The answer we will almost have, as it's all now on the shoulders of Pete, but not for long. A triple just, and just like that, overtime is upon us. At least 14 rounds are going to be required here on Chalet. Close this one out, and this could be anyone's game at this point.
It absolutely could. Synq not able to recreate what happened in round 11, losing kills, losing lives, where maybe they didn't have to. Variox there, flicking onto Unfalls. Unfalls apparently didn't even know they were there. The intel game, it dropped down, maybe to the standard that we saw at the start of this half. Very unfortunate, I would say, for Team Synq, but no one to blame except themselves. They did get that numerical advantage to start off with, and it's through their own inaction that they lost it. But now it's overtime. You've no time to dwell on it. We've had far too many rehosts in this game. You don't get a chance to have a breather. You don't get a chance to have a little powwow about what went wrong. All that's to do now is go out there and fix it.
That's it. You really have to apply it in overtime, because the past 12 rounds of Siege, they mean effectively naught now. It's all about next 3 rounds and how they go. You win 2 of them, you take the map. You lose 2 of them, you lose the map. You now got to win 2 more if you want to take the series as a whole. It's a tough ask for these teams. Now is going to be the time to lock in, and now is going to be the time where they're really going to have to focus on not making the mistakes there. As you said, Team Synq in that previous round, the intel game got a little bit sloppy at points, and it was punished by MVG. So, we flip round yet again towards overtime. Mark's going to be siding the same for the time being. At least no one's going to be flipping over sides just yet. Of course, MVG, they're going to have 2 rounds on the defense here, which is obviously proven to be favourable site throughout the Chalet. They're going to get 2 rounds at that. So Team Synq, they're going to need to be taking an attack if they want to be taking this overtime. Well, they're going to have to make sure the mistakes of past haven't been made yet again. Will they? We're going to have to wait and see to find out. And you can see here, Solo being sure to make sure nothing goes unchecked on the IQ, spotting out cameras, spotting out any sort of defensive utility lying about that may be able to cause a problem for Team Synq, making sure it's spotted out from Rifles, Valkyrie, Black Eye cameras, and MVG no doubt been using so effectively. But what they don't have a watch on is Goldies. They don't have a watch on the player coming up library stairs for the flank. That's man advantage going the way of MVG very, very early on.
Yeah, and I would suggest that maybe that's a little bit of miscommunication in how they're going to push Unfalls in the exact same place. They've hopped onto the drone. Can Goldies pick up another one on the flank? Team Synq, they're playing the intel game, but they're doing it in exceptionally dangerous positions here. And I'm wondering if maybe they've lost their heads a little bit on this attack, because they have had some really, really strong rounds. But now they're falling into these traps and dropping players that they don't have to drop. Unfalls, they'll pick up a kill onto Variox. They'll even it up 4v4 as we go into the second half of round 13. But it's very, very tight between these 2 teams at the moment, Travi.
It's so tight indeed. I mean, you can see this battle here to control the remaining space on this top floor here. Unfalls really, really want to find this, but they have the intel on the player. They know there's one up there. And Goldies as well, you can see as well, coming to support the teammate as well, top Solarium. So it's going to be a very, very difficult battle for Team Synq to try and take this ground. And if you're going to be planting in kitchen or dining, you're going to need to be able to control this area of map and time as well. Yet again, becomes a bit of a question here for Team Synq. They're being more thorough. They are playing the intel game this time around. But what cost does that come at? Well, it's going to be that drop factor. As Isan finds one down towards Spod, and now will never to really clear this top floor position. You can see Unfalls trying to push it on through, but it goes to take out the default cam. They don't know the player's still up there. Goldies finds yet another kill. That really they should have a right getting, but the intel game of Team Synq, it's not there, and it's costing them dearly here in round number 13. 2 versus 4 to come back from now. Pete, they left it all to do yet again. Isan finds another, and now Pete left outside 3. What can you do with 15 seconds on the clock? Find one back towards ESA, but every one of MVG is
10
swinging.
seconds
It's going to be very, very difficult to bring this one back. One bullet is all it's going to take from the defensive side.
5 seconds left.
Got to swing it with a bearing, but MVG, they're not going to give this away. Goldies closes out around a triple for them, finishes it off with the Deagle, and MVG, it's been a bit of a brawl, but they're finally here where they want to be. Map point, on their own map pick.
Yeah, and they've overturned the deficit. The reigning champions. They've not sat on their laurels, have they? They've fought back against a team Synq that is absolutely here to win, but has been pushed back, and it's been an absolute back and forth. Like, I don't know about you, Travi, I'm exhausted just watching it. But here we go, overtime match point in favor of
Attackers need to
MVG. They
locate
might
and
be
defuse
able
bombs.
to see out map 1 right here,
Attackers have
right
discovered
now.
the location of a bomb.
2 chances to do so. Of course, they can lose this one, and we've still got round 15 left to play. So for MVG, they've bought themselves that lifeline. They've earned themselves that lifeline. Of course, the next round they will be on the defense, which so far at least is proving the advantageous side. And for Team Synq, they're going to need to hope that advantageous nature of this defensive side really works into their favor going into this round. Because, say, they lose here, it feels almost like, you're in a best of 3. Team Synq have done so well throughout the majority of this map, besides a few
10
minor
seconds
mistakes
remaining.
here and there, costing them a round or 2. They've done really well for the majority of it, and
5
if you
seconds
lose this map,
remaining.
it feels like, in a way, it was almost all for nothing. You've gotten all this way, you've brought them
Attackers'
onto map
objective is to
point,
defuse a bomb.
and then you've gone and lost what could be 3 in a row, 3-4 rounds in a row, and then it's gone, well, we're now in this really crappy position to be in, where we're now going onto our own map, pick a map down, our own map, but that's the decider. But that's the future. Not going to worry about that until we possibly do or do not get there. We're going to have to focus on the round at hand, of course. As Team Synq, they're going to be looking to defend in bar game in here. And I don't think this is going to play too dissimilarly to what we saw, of course, flashing all the way back towards the first half here. What might play devil's advocate in this round is going to be Goldies yet again getting away from the intel game with Team Synq finding these picks where really don't have a right winning them, but Team Synq, they're not aware of the player there. Goldies are doing a beautiful job to be in the right place at the right time. He's traded one back though, as we're sort of a minute in through the round now. You can see here Goldies just approaching closer and closer towards the site, looking to be that backstab, looking to be that X factor here for MolotovGang. We said a few rounds ago, who's going to be that player to step up for MVG? Who's going to be the one to go from good to greatness? And so far, for the last few rounds, that's been Goldies.
Yeah, Goldie's picking up the kill, but honestly, it was a bit of a daft kill, if I'm completely honest, because it wasn't a kill that Pete needed to concede. It was just while he was running through, and Goldie's got in there and did the killing and got out again scot-free. These are kills that you don't need to be dropping. You don't, if you're gonna drop a kill, at least be in a position to take a gunfight. But it seemed to me that Pete was completely unaware there and almost caught napping. Not where you want to be at match point. But we are going to reach the halfway point of the round once again, as it has been very, very frequently, with both teams level pegging in terms of numbers.
Yeah. Even all across the board, but it's going to be this final couple of seconds here. Does the squad have any idea? No, they do not. Verax is going to find one, keeping the man count back in the way of MVG, and there goes Goldies yet again, finding another crucial pick onto Unpulse when needed most. Now down to Pizza and Solo to keep Chalet alive for the side of Team Synq. One is holding on to Library, one is not going to be holding on to Library very long, nor is the other, as MVG. It's a brawl, it's a bit of a back and forth, but they do get their own map pick over the line. They get themselves one up in the series, as we're going to be looking towards our second map in a minute. But they answer back when needed most, and as sort of said, Goldie's there doing absolutely phenomenal work in the final couple rounds there of Chalet. Get it over the line to get it done. And for Team Synq, I've got a feeling they're going to be feeling a little bit defeated after that one.
Yeah, I think I do have a suspicion that maybe the team that wins this map, the team that won this map, would be the team that would carry it on, and that's more because of the emotive nature of the game for both of these teams. The way we saw both teams at the start of the game, rounds 1, 2, and 3 in particular, where we also had the rehearse. We had a lot of stop-start gameplay. Both teams were playing incredibly off the back of emotions, and I think maybe we saw Synq get a little excited towards the end of it because the good gameplay that we had seen in round 9 and round 11 in particular on their attacking grounds, they just dropped off. They just weren't doing it anymore. They weren't droning, and they were dropping what I call these soft kills. And you saw 2 of them there in that very last round. You saw Pete as he rotated back from trophy through hallway down towards kitchen dining, not even taking a gunfight. Just sprinting, looking in the wrong direction, completely unaware that Goldies had breached in through trophy window. you then also saw in no cams mess, nothing. So just someone walking in through main door, right the way up the stairs, and removes any vert control that Synq have got over the site. And that's the point at which I think really it was about 1 minute 20 towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
That's the point at which they'd lost that round because without vert control on that site in particular, you're gone. And it's disappointing really because I would have, as much as I'm a fan of how MVG play, I think they play a really exciting brand of Siege. It would have been quite nice to see Synq give them a bloody nose and set up a really exciting next map or two. But let's not call it early, Travi. Let's not call it early.
No.
We've still got another map to go, potentially two, and they're all going to be coming up in just a minute.
Welcome back on in, folks, to ESA Season 10. That we have had a banger of a first map here between MVG and Team Synq. Almost going all the way. MVG on their own map pick, required to go to overtime to get it over the line. It was looking a little bit choppy, looking a little bit worrisome for them, perhaps at points. But at the end of the day, they got the map over the line towards the end of it. I think Team Synq struggled a little bit at the end of it for the final couple of rounds, but that's what cost them at the end. Delta, how are you feeling about that one?
Oh, fatigued. It was a long slog, wasn't it, Travi? It was a long old game. A mixture of technical difficulties, a couple of different bits and bobs like that. But then also it went to overtime, and it was one of those games. It could have gone either way. I think it was maybe an issue of stamina towards the end for Team Synq, as some of the good standards that they had set for themselves over the course of the first half and bits of the second half, like their intel game and things like that, they just dropped off a little bit, and they couldn't manage that momentum forwards into the overtime rounds, or indeed see it out in regulation, which they had the opportunity to. So I think Synq they'll have spent the break disappointed, because they'll know ultimately in their heart of hearts they could have won that. They could have taken that 7-5, and instead they've lost 8-6. So they'll be disappointed. And this map now is all about how does Synq bounce back. And I think that's the narrative really, because MVG they've already overcome their obstacle. They're the ones who had their backs against the wall after the first half of Synq that Synq put in, and they fought back and they won it out. So this map, it's all about Team Synq's response.
That's it, and I think we're talking a little bit about it in between the maps. What is going to be decisive in this one is going to be these first few rounds here. Of course, we're going to have to get through the operator ban phase first, as Blitz going to be taken off the board here. But it's going to be about these first few rounds, and really, we said it so much in the first map, and it's one perhaps we don't want to keep going on, but it is a very important word nonetheless. It's that momentum. MVG, they went into the series with it. Sure, it was tried and tested a lot on Chalet, but they're now moving into map 2 with the advantage, and all they need is 1. Whereas for Team Synq, you win this one, we're going to be going all the way to 3. We're going to be going to Cafe. So for Team Synq, they've still got quite a bit of a road to get across if they want to be taking this series. For MVG, the end's in sight. They just need to close out here and now, and that's what they're going to be looking to do here. Moving on to their opponent's map pick, of course. Operator bans here. Blackbeard's army, exactly what we saw on Chalet as well, being taken off the board. Of course, we spoke in extensiveness about how powerful Blackbeard has been. Blitz as well, another really powerful shield operator taken off the board. Nazami as well, really, really powerful. But MVG opting to ban out the visual. Now, that's a bit of an interesting one here. And I think that's probably in response to how important perhaps the Intel game was really feeding into working out in that last game. And perhaps both the Intel wins and the mistakes made in the Intel game. Is the visual a response to that, do you reckon?
I think it is a response to that, and it's also a response to just how well Team Synq did on the roam. Their roam game was very, very powerful. You mentioned a couple of times, particularly in rounds 2 and 3, just how well the roamers on the side of Synq, they were able to burn time. An absolutely key function of a roamer. And cool if you can pick up a frag or two. Your key function is to burn time. Make that timer a sick defender for you. And they were doing that really fantastically, winning 2 rounds on time in their own half. So that'll be very much, I think, a target ban to the playstyle that Team Synq bring to the table. Team Synq are going to be attacking first. They're going to be attacking this top site. MVG opting to have a very traditional hold. MVG, they're very good at holding this top site. They won, I believe, they won Season 9 defending this top site. So this is one they're going to be intimately familiar with.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
They're going to be comfortable, I think, is where MVG are going to be sitting at right now. As you say, this is Consulate as a map. MVG, they're comfortable to play. As you say, this Consulate was where they took Season 9 over the line. They're happy to be here, and they're in a favourable position within this series in isolation. So they're probably going to be quite happy to play this one. They're starting at what I'd argue is probably the favourable side. I think operator lineup reflects that, and of course you've got Eastman there over on the top, looking to success that they found in the fragging game in map number 1. Of course, with that MD5 and that A, not only take a lot of really difficult gunfights using that as magnified scope, but should you take any damage, you can just heal yourself right back up to 100 to get back out there, start causing problems yet again. So really good lineup there, I think, from MVG. Team Synq, one I'm interested to see how this one plays out. It's going to be that Deimos pick over towards Pizza. How's that one going to be faring in towards the map? How is it going to be used to clear out these drone games and perhaps address some of the intels, perhaps that intel game of these individual players slipping outside of the intel net almost of Team Synq? Something they faced a lot during map number 1, and you reckon the Deimos is going to be something that might be addressing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also going to be a side of maybe it's an element of them backing themselves. Like you can see there, Deimos has got access to all 5 operators. They're not going to need to track dock anymore as Nerds takes them off the board. But they're going to go ahead. They're going to start tracking these operators and applying a lot of pressure from below. And I feel like with all the attack side of prep that they put in, they're going to be very strong at actually taking a very deliberate approach to how they take Consulate, because you've seen their attack side prep. They were ready to attack from about the 2-minute mark onwards.
That's it. They've been so ready, and I like the way that Team Synq are playing this one. They're focusing, they're using that death mark to isolate and focus on one player at a time. You can see the E1Ds, the Goldies, you're sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't in regards to the movement. However, below was Ina for a second there, gets one, but on towards the Deimos, but is immediately shut down, and it's now just down to Variox and Goldies left on the side of MVG to get this round done. And Team Synq, they can't let this one slip away from them. So much utility early on in the round, it's going to cost you at the end there. Variox been able to get back into a key position, get back behind that vending machine, and that's going to be very difficult for Synq to clear out. As I said, they've now used all of their utility. All they've got left in pocket is a single stun grenade. And MVG, they're going to be quite happy to play this one. And look as well, top right of your screen, 3 drones remain in pocket for the side of Team Synq. Not a lot of information left on the board now that the Deimos is gone. Final flashbang is going to go. 20, no success. But it's a swing out from Goldies, is punished. Triple for unfalls in the round, and now Variox. The only thing you've got on your side here, my friend, is going to be the clock ticking away. Synq have to try and get the plant down, and it's not going to be going down. Instead, it's going to be Nerds to swing out, close it out, deny that round there from MVG. It was a bit back and forth, but Team Synq, for the most part, they were in the driver's seat there, and when things got a little bit wobbly, they did the most important thing. They were able to recover, and they now find themselves 1-0 up on their own map.
Yeah, the clock running right down though. It's very similar to the rounds that we saw, where Synq were winning on attack over on Chalet, where they will win these attacking rounds, but they'll win them with like a couple of seconds to spare. And that's the side effect of, whilst they are completed their kind of attacking prep, you know, in a reasonable time frame by about a minute. In terms of an execute, it took them a long time, and I would wager that actually, after that first kill that the Deimos allowed and enabled, that was the time to execute. They wasted, I would say, probably another 30 seconds waiting for that second Deimos, which I don't think resulted in a kill, but it burnt a lot of time. And that's why Variox could dig in like a takeover by that vendor machine, because one of the things MVG quite like doing, they'll have that shield operate, they'll have a shield over towards vending quite often, and what they'll do is they'll plant that in such a way that you get a pixel angle down the hallway. It's quite interesting that they decided not to do that here.
Yeah.
Why are they deviating from their own strategy?
Oh, well, perhaps it's something we touched on a little bit in map number 1, where MVG, they play into their opponent rather than playing their own game. And this was something they did a little bit of in map 1, and if you were there, you know, Delta, it cost them quite dearly there.
Yeah.
They're trying to play their opponent's game, they're not playing their own game. At MVG, they're a great team, we've seen it from them in this series at points. But they need to remain that confident that they can be the ones to drive these rounds, be in control of the tempo of things. And when they start, at least on Shallow, when they started to play their opponent's game, that's when things started to go wrong. And it seems like a similar story might be occurring here on Consulate as a mid-round reinforce goes horribly wrong there. Nerd finding another. And it's now a 3 versus 5 for MVG. This top floor site really not going their way so far. We're a minute into the round and already MVG, they have to claw back to just to level the man count. It's a difficult one to really come back into here as well. You and you're about to lose another. Beautiful read there from Upfall's They're just dropping to their doom, and now here comes the problem we had before, where you've got Deimos and a buck down below causing so much chaos. You've got EU1Ds. It's a bit of doom and doom here for the minute of MVG. Dryox is going to be going downstairs, attempting a bit of a flank. This could be great. This could save the round, but it has to work. You have to get all of them. It's all or bust here. Red Thing's going to be coming out. The intel's going to be fed, but Unfalls is good on the watch. Sees it through, and Isan's going to fall as well, and it's a flawless for Team Synq. We talked about them not being defeated by the fact that the previous map didn't go their way, and they're not showing any signs of that. They're in map 2, they're refreshed, they're ready to get back into this one. 2 great rounds to start with. Do start to have to wonder just a little bit.
I wonder if the viewer can tell which map was Synq's pick. I do wonder how obvious that is. That was wonderful. Yeah. That was just really fun season to watch. I particularly enjoyed this. Look at that. Special delivery, please. One fresh Einer, straight out of the box, straight out of the tin. Yeah. Absolutely lovely. I wonder why Synq have called a timeout there. Are they... Yeah. They're winning. Usually you call a timeout when you're losing, because you want to make sure of the next round. You know, there's some very well documented statistics of how a timeout, you know, a well executed timeout, you almost always will win that next round. But why have Synq done it?
I mean, the only thing I can possibly think of here is on the previous map of Chalet, when Team Synq really started to get the ball rolling and they got themselves on towards that regulation map point. They got it 6-5. They then went and lost 3 in a row. They got a bit confident, and that's when the mistakes started to creep in. So my only guess there for Team Synq is, it's a, look guys, we've done a really great job. We've started this game off strong. We've started this game off well. But don't let that get to your head. You know, the job's not done yet.
Attackers need
Still
to
got 5 rounds to go.
bombs.
Job is not done. Need to keep a level head and not let it get to yourself a little bit. MVG, they're deciding to forego that top floor site. It's really not worked for them twice in a row now. You know, the previous round were worse than the last. So now they're going to need to head down towards the basement. They could be giving it a different go, and it's got a bit of a funky operator lineup here.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? We haven't seen a couple of these on defense so far. We've not seen Neil Rooney be pulled out by MVG. I don't think we've seen an Echo get pulled out either, and maybe this is them playing to try and slow Synq down. Maybe they're looking to collapse in a little further, but also, you know, gotta respect that it's a different site as well. And I think an Echo in particular on this site, because it is very common for teams to play this as a kind of a planting site as opposed to a fragging site. An Echo, it's a round winner, you know, if it goes undiscovered, and the lack of an IQ on Synq's side, it's going to make it a bit more difficult to counter.
Certainly is going to, and as well, something that Team Synq's attacks in the first map were plagued by really was that time management. We saw quite a few rounds where they struggled to get things down. The clock was really pushing against them there, and as you say, in those kind of situations, that Echo, that Yokai throw, they can be the round winners, but you need to keep them alive, and that's going to be, of course, the challenge here. As Goldie's going to be sort of dancing with death a little bit on the top floor, no choice but to fall back down, almost caught there by Fod, but not going to quite be able to do so. Now we're stuck in a little bit of a sandwich here. And here come the footprint scans as well from the Jackal. This is going to be really important. The Solace has been marked, the Solace has been found, and there goes the damage on towards Goldie's. He's going to be able to get back towards the objective. But with that, most of the presence on the top floor is completely gone. There's still a couple of players lurking around the first floor here for MVG. But Team Synq, they're making good pace of it. They're making quick work of this map so far, and now they're making green trophy here. Unfalls will obviously be the key factor in that from above, as well as the impact EMPs from Nerd there. Getting the wall open is going to be able to be done. And approach the halfway point of the round. Not too much damage done either way. 5 versus 5. Interesting to see how the remainder of this one goes. And that's exactly what MVG needed. A start into this round as Goldie's finds a pick on towards Deimos there of Pizza with a solid shotgun. Minute 20 now left on the clock. So how do this one plays out?
Yeah, it's a bit of a slower one, isn't it? Very much a slower one. Obviously, we saw Deimos fall early, but Team Synq, they've not really hit that kind of those attacking prep objectives. They've not managed to enable any significant breach onto the side either through the doors or through the walls of guns or the hatches. And it feels like they're still probing to pick up a kill somewhere before they execute, but the timer is now very much against them. In a 5v4, you don't want to be still preparing for an execute, I'd argue. You want to be getting set and going for it.
Going for it indeed, but what they might be trying to find here is this free pick over towards Just. Absolutely clinical stuff there from Team Synq.
That was free as well.
They used the Jackal to force them out of position, then take the pick down. That was good. Now at a 4 versus 4, which for Team Synq is in a much more comfortable position here. As Ford just continues to get these picks. For Arx is going to be the next one to fall. As Goldies, no choice here but to really throw next to the smoke with the shotgun, try and make anything happen. But do they know about the player thrown right on the other side of it? D4's going to go, not going to find its mark. As Esan does go down, Ina, though, can play devil's advocate in this round, makes it into a 2 versus 2. Now the clock's playing against them, and Team Synq are falling apart here. Fod got the triple for the round, has to make it an ace if they want to clutch this one out. Intel's going to be given away by the sound, makes it a quad, but not quite the ace. So close, but unfortunately not this time, and just through the skin of their teeth, and a bit of help from the clock. MVG, they do get their first here on Consulate.
Yeah, I think that's unlucky, and it links back to what I was saying there, where they didn't prepare their pre-execution goals in a timely manner. That kill there from Ina on fouls didn't need to sprint in. Did not need to sprint in. The gunshots were going out. They're there. Why are you going to cross that line of fire? I would argue that's very critical there, because from there they're able to get the res up. But it's one of those things where it's these split-second decisions where I think when they're working as a team, unified, Synq, they're playing extraordinarily well, flawless round 2. But when it devolves that little bit, when they lose that little bit, I would say CNC, that bit of command and control, it all kind of goes to pot.
Yeah.
And they start either double peeking or rushing angles that they just don't have to rush, and losing these soft kills.
Yeah, silly little mistakes, I suppose, and they're going to be the ones that are going to be costing you at the end of the day. It's what cost them Chalet ultimately. A few of the rounds where Synq made those little mistakes, they hadn't done so, they would have been walking away with that series in regulation.
Yeah.
So it's about tuning those down, and I think Team Synq, they won't be. I wouldn't say they're not going to be thrilled with losing that one, but they're still going to be happy with the position there. And it's all about just the recovery now, making sure we're going to be going back to the winning ways of the first 2 rounds, and not those kind of sort of almost, as I said, silly sort of little mistakes that are creeping through there. Because MVG know the quality of this team, and they're more than happy to take advantage. And that's something they've done really well, I'd say, throughout the entire series. When someone made a mistake, someone from MVG has been there ready to punish them, to be able to say, right, you've made this mistake, and you're now going to feel why you shouldn't be making this mistake yet again. They get a kill or 2 off the back of it. They find really useful utility out of it. MVG, they're ready to take advantage of these situations. And if you ask me, it's down in Team Sync's hands at the minute to not be handing that one over.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to make the exact same point there as you, Travi. I think that last round, MVG, obviously they got the dub, they got the win, but it was Team Synq losing it more that affected the game, as opposed to MolotovGang doing anything outstanding. MolotovGang, they just played well. It was Team Synq, just these tiny little moments of madness, but that's how tight this game is. That those tiny little moments of madness, they can change the game. Unfouls, they're going to get one back on Just. A bit of revenge for their kill last round, but Goldies, they'll pick up a frag themselves, and then once again, Travi will be at the halfway mark, and it'll be a 4v4.
4v4, I mean, there's a little line I said in the previous map, and it might be coming in. Both these teams are playing good, but it's about who's going to be playing great. That's really going to decide the victor in this series overall. And so far, at least in this round, MVG, they're holding their own. They're able to keep Team Synq out of this one. As you can see, Nerd here having a little bit of difficulty here, getting in through the little breach made, and they must below fighting what feels like a little bit of a losing battle here with the vertical. No support from the team this time, and that's the pivotal factor. Without that team support, you're going to struggle. Unfortunately, as well, having their own battles on the staircase, it feels like MVG all over the place. They're currently just keeping Team Synq at bay, and Synq are really struggling to kind of almost synchronise up and play as one cohesive unit here. So this is exactly what's going to do coming. Pizza really moving to support Unfalls though, but it's now going to just be down to these two. Unfalls, Pizza get this round over the line as Unfalls charges through over towards reception. Does get one, but now going to be all that left standing. Tries to clear the player out, top spiral, isn't going to win the gunfight. Variox closes it out, and MVG, well, they've leveled things back out. We're now 2 apiece. Synq, what really went wrong with that one?
I think, again, it was just really uncoordinated. The drone game wasn't there because you could see there, at about the halfway mark, Deimos only had 2 potential targets from which to pick from. Really, if you're gonna bring a Deimos, it's probably one of the few occasions where you want to be spamming your red X on your drone phase, on your prep phase, because you need to know these things for Deimos to be effective. And if you are gonna bring a Deimos, that's you making a statement of intent, saying we are playing an intel game. And when you're not droning, when you're not supporting the Deimos, you may as well bring a striker or any other operator because they're a bit of a rubber duck at that point. They're pointless. Which, obviously still good guns, can still frag, but you're losing all of that very, very useful utility. So when you're playing the Deimos, it's all about commitment. The whole team, they go in and commit to finding all of these other operators. That just didn't happen there, and it slowed the play down. But they're also very disparate, and I do wonder how much they are using Unfouls as maybe a little bit of a crutch, because Unfouls, we've seen, extraordinarily good fragger.
Yeah.
Look at their ratio there. It's fantastic. But it's not quite being matched by the macro strategy of the team.
That's it, and as I said, it's that greatness that is important, and throughout this entire series, Unfalls has been absolutely great. Fragging department, in supporting the teammates department, and doing a really, really great job all around. But it just feels like, at least for the past 2 rounds, the rest of Team Synq has been falling behind a little bit of that good benchmark. So one great player so far this series has really dictated to you. The rest of the team still needs to be playing that good quality, and it does feel a little bit lacking from synchronized. They're sort of playing as a couple of individuals these last few rounds, and it's really, really cost them. Going to be going away from the Deimos focused strategies and attacks instead. Going to be opting towards bringing out the Amaru, which is an interesting one we don't see every day. But previously, at least on Shallow, we've seen things work for Team Synq when they've been in control, when they've been the ones keeping MVG on their toes. And Pizza starts that off with the Amaru finding one, but there goes Unfalls, goes down. Is traded back though, Ishan does fall. Team Synq, they're going to maintain their man advantage for a little bit at minute 50 mark left of the round. Here comes Pizza above the objective, trying to clear out this remaining player here on the top floor. That's going to be Aina. We're left with no choice but to try and rotate back down toward the first floor, get back towards the site and support the rest of the team. As you can see, MVG, they're now doing, which gives Team Synq half the round to play with here to try and formulate this one into a successful execute here. But Goldies wants a bit of a flank, wants to try and cause some trouble, but he's going to get spotted out, isn't going to be able to do so. Forced to retreat back in towards the basement, but MVG, when it looked like they were retreating back towards the objective, they seems like they might want to be getting some more here. See here just as well in the corridor, but does have a C4 in pocket as well, could definitely make something magic happen with that one. Team Synq, it's slowed down a little bit here now. This is the curious part, it's a bit slower. They're trying to assess how they want to play this one out, and it's going to be, I suppose, a question of how do they do so. Of course, we've seen them fumble it in this position before. One player slips right through the cracks, and then that's round over, done there and dusted. Just you hit. Replace the D4 somewhere below. You're likely going to be using those black eye cameras there. You can see in the bottom left. Ishan going to be on that, watching it. Just finds another onto Pizza as well. And now it's 3 versus 3. It's a bit more of a question mark here for Team Synq. And as I say, you've really got to be attentive, focusing on closing this one out. But it's looking less and less likely by the second. The squad goes down. Nerd and Solo, all that's left standing. As you can correctly finish my sentence. Solo goes, Nerd's left all on their own, does find one. But it's going to be the C4 and that black eye from below to close it out. And MVG, they're starting to get a little bit of a roll here. Things are looking a bit worrisome for Team Synq.
Yeah, that's the 3rd round in a row where we've seen Synq have a numerical advantage and then lose it. So something's wrong. There's something in at the core of the team which just isn't working for them right now. So it's extraordinarily difficult for Team Synq to really bounce back when they're losing in situations where just by pure numerics they should be winning. I do question the wisdom of putting Pizza on with zipline on. Yeah. Thank you for catching that. I completely forgot her name. I blanked. Right. Thank you. Thanks for pointing it out.
We don't see it very much, do we? Well, we don't see it much.
You could probably see the brain cells colliding in my camera. But yeah, I mean, I do question the wisdom of putting them on there when they're going to enter through basement. If you want the supernova, you could maybe bring the Hibana and have more utility. If you're not gonna, I think when you bring about Amaru, you're rushing. So commit to it. And they didn't. So I do question the wisdom on that. But ultimately, it's not operator picks or anything like that that's really driving these last 3 rounds of Synq not being able to beat. It's gaining the numerical advantage, being good at entry, and then I just get this sense that even though this is their map pick, they're getting to that point, and then there's no, okay, now this is what we do. Now this is what we want to achieve by 1 minute 30. This is what we want by 60 seconds. I'm not really getting that sense, and this might come across as a bit rude. I'm kind of getting the sense that it feels like a ranked lobby from 2 minutes onwards. You know?
Yeah, I could see where that thought is coming from. I mean, it's a word you said. You've said it a couple times here in map number 2 now, and it's commitment. Yeah, you said it a couple rounds ago, said it just now, Delta. It's one of those things, Team Synq, they're bringing these operators, the Damos, the Amori, that require that devotion to the strategy. And first 2 rounds, they did it and they committed, and it really, really worked. I mean, you look at round 2 was flawless. Third, the only one we've had so far all night, I believe. So it's one of those situations where when Team Synq are committed, it's working. But at the minute, they're not playing together. It's all playing individually, and it's really something that MVG are quite happy to play in. And even though they might be going down in the early rounds, it's working out for Synq to start with. It's when the late round happens, when the coordination is required more than anything during a round of Siege. That's when that lack of coordination can really be exploited and be punished. And MVG, to their credit, they're playing it very, very well.
Yeah, they really, really are. The verticality is absolutely crucial on this one. We can see they're pretty uncontested here in establishing some vertical control with the bug ability can be there also running around, getting ready for a prep. And I think, in terms of where you want to be in attacking objectives, they're not in a bad place. They've now got the breach open, and it wouldn't surprise me, Travi, if they actually looked for a plant.
Yeah. I think that's going to be the game goal here from Team Synq. MVG, though, what they're doing, I think, is a little bit of they want to play this one in the 5 versus 5 execute at the end of the round, because if they're playing a coordinated 5 versus 5, they've seen the communication between Team Synq. It's been a bit hit and miss so far this map. If it gets to a 5 versus 5 at the end, the communication is so important, trading out those picks, and it may get a little bit messy, but Team Synq, at least they're going to start things off on a good start by getting taking care of taken down here, forcing Isan to move back down in towards the basement now. The support team can't be watching that spiral. As I've got a feeling they have the idea that the plant's going to be coming in here, but look at this, you've got the Yokai on the board. Yeah, you've got the Stolies as well. As Varux finds one on towards Vods, Goldies finds another. Nerd does find one back though, 3 versus 3. But all they need to do is keep the Echo alive, and this one should be alright for them. Flank here from Pizza, and Varux does go down. Look, it's all down to Aina on the Echo. 10 seconds on the clock. You could just play this off the Yokais if they don't find the body, but they are going to. Pizza swings in with the knife, and well, that one was almost disaster for the side of Team Synq. But at the end of the day, they get it across the line. They find the Echo hiding in the corner, and they get the round. They end the half 3-3. But I think Team Synq have kept playing the way they played the first 2. It could have been a lot better for them.
Yeah, I mean, take nothing away from MVG, like, they're an incredibly good team. I don't think you can write them out in any context ever. I would say that rounds 3, 4, and 5, there was these mistakes coming out from Synq that MVG took advantage of. But the crucial factor was that the mistakes happened in the first place. So, whilst I think 3-3 is a very fair split for how the game has gone so far, with these few very, very minor adjustments to how the game went, it could very easily be 4-2 or 5-1. So, I think if you're supporting Synq, if it were me, I would probably be a little disappointed at only having a 3-3 split on your attacking rounds, when you really could have taken it to MVG.
That's it, the quality we saw from them, I mean, those first 2 rounds, not to harp on it too much, but the quality we saw from them in those first 2 rounds, it was great.
Yeah.
Some of the best Siege, if you ask me, we've seen all night, really,
and you know
in that
what?
first 2 rounds. Yeah?
You know what, Travi, as well? It's a real compliment to Team Synq to say, you, on MolotovGang's map, on MolotovGang's defensive half, you took 3-3.
Yeah.
You should be disappointed with that. I think that's actually a real testament to how good Team Synq have been and how surprised maybe I've been at just how competitive this is. It's been an absolute slugfest.
That's it. Neither of these teams really haven't separate much from each other. You know, we do harp on the mistakes, but credit on to both these teams. They are across the whole board, generally speaking, they're putting up a really, really good performance. And the only reason we highlight these little mistakes is that's all that's separated. On the whole,
Yeah.
it's a very good game of Siege being played here from both sides. And regardless of the outcome, I think Team Synq will be happy. They've proven that MVG possibly can bleed. Of course, MVG are coming into this one. They won the previous match they played in Season 10, 14-0. They're the previous season's champions. The expectation is on them to really be taking this one. Team Synq, though, they've been putting up a mighty, mighty good fight here. And, well, sure, the start of this round might not have gone their way, but as we've learned so far in this series, you can't really count either of these teams out until you've got 0 or the final man drops. Anything's been happening so far. It's been utter chaos here, and I've got a feeling Fod might be eyeing up an idea of possibly a run out. Of course, that Scopos, get your kill, get back to site really, really easily. I like the idea as well. Throwing that intel game into disarray here. We approach the halfway point of the round now. Solo does what is needed, I think, there for Team Synq. Finds one back, but Variox takes down Solo immediately, is traded back. And where's the response from Synq? That is going to be the question. It's going to be coming up in the form of Pizza likely here, holding on towards the admin side of the map. But you've got to be careful because the rest of your team's falling down away from you. Nerd, though, let's find it down onto a player on Spy. We're going to throw a top wave, likely going to be able to confirm the pick. Yes, it will. That's pivotal there. And Pizza able to find a flank kick there onto Variox. C4 gets another one with it as well. That's amazing stuff there from Pizza. Exactly what's needed to bring Synq right back into this round. All down to ESA now in a 1 versus 2. 50 seconds on the clock. Diffuser on the other side of the map prepared to sight. Going to be caught shooting out of default cameras. Pizza closes it out and Team Synq, well, they've answered back.
Lovely.
Good stuff
Absolutely
from them.
lovely. I think Pizza's maybe had a bit. I know I've given maybe a bit of an unfair rap. Pizza's come out with some huge moments, especially on their own defensive rounds. It was Pizza, I believe, who last game had that absolutely delicious tight roll on Chalet, where they cut inside. And here, the wide flank going right around, coming from an angle that they're not expecting, and the timing on that C4. Oh, chef's kiss. Absolute chef's kiss. It's triple cheese in round 7.
Couldn't have written that one better yourself. Team Synq, they grabbed the lead back for the first time in a little while here over on Consulate.
Bomb located by attackers.
Of course, all is in what happens over the next few rounds. Of course, Team Synq, as we say, it goes well and then it starts to sort of get a bit bumpy at points. So we need to what we would see them keep their composure, because if they do what they did in that previous round, they'll be fine. They'll take their own map pick and we'll be going all the way over towards our final cafe. But they need to keep doing so. They can't let the quality that they're playing with falter. MVG operator lineup wise could be changing ever so slightly. You could be seeing Goldies back on the Nook, and this is one that I want to see a response coming in from now. This Nook was so great towards the end page of Chalet there.
Yeah.
It's no surprise that MVG are going to want to be giving it another shot over here on Consulate. And of course, they're going to be waiting to see how it's going to be played. Of course, the way Team Sync's operator lineup looks, especially on that Oryx, there's going to be a player deep roaming at all times. And if they don't have the proper intel to support them, that Nook could cause some very serious damage to the defense here.
Yeah, both teams have got these operators now, both the Nook and the Oryx, where flanks can come at any time and from anywhere, so they're both going to have to be super cautious about that. I think this round's probably going to be a bit more expansive. We are going to see it come down to 5-4, as I think for the first round in some time, Team Synq are without the numerical advantage.
Yeah, if they lose the first one, and as you can see, they also have the idea onto the player that was playing around the Visa position, so they know the players was roughly around there. Escort back now, but it's going to give MVG a lot of control over the map there. You can see Team Synq all relegated down towards the basement, and that's going to give MVG a lot of time, a lot of opportunity to try and assess how they want to play this one around as well over on the side of Variox. That's going to be so useful for opening up this floor, as you can see there as well. It's already started to work. Hatch is going to be opened up as well. MVG, they're going to have a lot of options going into the dying stages of this round, but it's going to be all that Team Synq can read the approach and adjust accordingly. They should be able to do so there. As Solo's attempt at pushing up towards yellow is going to be marked out. The question is, do they want to try and take the pick, or do they want to go retreat back in towards the objective? Of course, still plenty of time to play with here, and obviously, if you're on the side of Team Synq, you don't want to be putting your team in a further disadvantage. But you want to try and find that pick back to level things out, make things a bit more breathable, a bit more workable by looking at the next round here. MVG now, they're deciding how they want to play this plant now. Unfortunately, really need to be getting this one over the line here. 7 and 5 at the minute. Just spraying back a lot of damage on both sides. Only one bullet to confirm the kill on either. not going to be done so just yet as Goldie's goes down to solo. That's exactly what was needed for the side of Synq. 4 versus 4 now. MVG going to have to be trying to find a way to respond and may almost catch the player behind the pillar there. Not quite going to be able to find the lead though, to get the kill. And instead it's Solo actually finding another player is down as well. An effective 2 versus 3 for the time being, unless the revive can come through. Solo does have a C4 below, but all the way on yellow, unlikely to be able to use it in the final couple of minutes of this round here. You do have to watch on towards the hatch though. It's 1-for-1 upstairs yet again as Nerds on a little bit of a flank, but that leaves Solo all on their lones on the objective. A direct trade. That's good to have, and now it's just a 1 versus 1. Both players are low, but so is the clock. No choice but to drop. Justice going to go down and down into the demise of the C4. Beautiful end of round play there from Synq. That is going to be them getting yet another 3 in a row. Now they're climbing their way back into this one.
Well, 30 seconds to go there. He said, oh, Solo, he's got a C4, but he's all the way over in yellow. I don't think he'll be able to use that.
Use it. Yep, I said it. I cursed it. And guess what? Wins the round with it. Because to be fair, swinging that one, that could have gone either way. Using the C4.
Yeah.
You don't have to swing, you don't have to take the gun fight. It's a clever way to do it.
That was wonderful. I mean, that was just a really fun round of Siege to watch. I've actually got like basically no notes because it was just 1-for-1 all the way. It was just good, tough Siege, people winning their ones, people getting refragged, and we even saw the trade up on the roam on first floor, which brought us down to that 1v1 scenario in the end. That C4 at the end. Those C4s are coming in clutch, aren't they, for Synq on their defensive rounds? 5-3. They're only 2 rounds away from sending us to a decider, Travi.
I know, and starting to get excited yet again over here for Team Synq. You know, it's a bit worried, I won't lie. I was a little bit worried they might not have to fight in them after losing map 1 so closely, but they've definitely shown they've got it. I mean, the first 2 rounds extremely dominant, and then the past 3 as well. They've been close, for sure, but Team Synq have definitely been playing better in the last few rounds, and that's why they've got the wins they have. And now they find themselves with a 2-round lead on MVG yet again, and as well, 2 rounds away from sending us all the way to Cafe. It's an exciting time if you're a fan of MVG, if you're a fan of Synq, sorry, for MVG. This is where I think the answers need to start making, because if you're staring down a 6-3, it's very difficult to come back. No one free consecutive rounds, it's tough. And, well, as we approach 30 seconds into the round now, I've got a feeling we're going to be seeing a little bit of a slower one here.
Yeah, I think maybe, you know, Synq, they're going to be aware that they were in a very similar position last round. I would imagine, last map. I would imagine they're just in amongst themselves saying, let's slow it down. Let's be a little bit deliberate with our actions rather than losing our heads and getting into it. Riox on the losing end of a gunfight. They're not going to go down. They are going to go down to 1 shot though, as they take another little bit of gunfire. No luck there. They'll eventually fall to Pizza, who I think has been on a bit of a tear these last 2-3 rounds, haven't they?
Yeah. Pieces are really woken up into this series as of late, doing such a phenomenal job, not only here and now, but also on the defensive map. Well, that's the defense team, especially on this Legion here. They've almost claimed another Unfalls is the one to deal the final blow, though, but it means we're at 3 versus 3 mark. Now, the only issue here is Goldie is in the objective here, and Team Synq, well, they've got to try and make a response. They've got a vertical control from above. Oh no, Ina goes down. I don't think that position's going to be quite recoverable. No, it's not. Solo finds it. 2 versus 3 now here for the attack to try and recover this one. I think Goldie's going to want to go for the plant, but as the last one left standing, you're not going to be able to do just that. You're going to try and stick it anyway. But as soon as Team Synq have the sound cue, they're going to be swinging it. Goldie, well, how can you play this one? You're going to get them first onto Unfalls. It's 1 versus 2 now. You've got a minute to play with, so still a decent amount of time to do so. If you could just continue to bait out do it. E4 used by vods to open up a little bit more vertical. All Godlies need to do is just try and isolate one more of these players, and you put yourself a 1 versus 1, and that's exactly what Godlies does. Triple on the round, and it's now just Vod left standing. No way do you recover this one. Surely Vods needs to beat, and there you go. Is able to claim it out just about. Yet again, Team Synq, they keep it close, they keep it exciting, but they're getting the job done, and they now find themselves up on map point on their own map pick. 3 rounds required consecutively without mistake from MVG to bring this into overtime. Otherwise, if Team Synq take any of them, we're going to be going to Cafe.
I mean, they're closer than they were last time.
Yeah.
They've got significantly more of a buffer than they had last time, and they look a little bit calmer, but I would say it was a little bit by the skin of their teeth that they got that one, so that's not a round that I would take confidence from. It's a round I'd be glad we won, and I would be glad that we were over if I was on the side of Team Synq there. I'd be saying, listen, we got that, but we didn't earn it. Let's go out and earn our last one, yeah? Because that one, they were 3v1. They had vert. They didn't quite have site control, but they, really they ought to a bit having the vert, and they almost went down from a 3v1 to a full clutch. So you've got to really commit and make sure in those scenarios. And they're very well played from Fod, hunting those toes, as I'm sure he'll not be happy for me saying and getting clipped on. But there we go, 6-3 for Team Synq as they look to see us out in regulation. I think this is actually a really tough scoreline if you're MVG to swallow. It'd be really tough to say, we've just gone, we've really had a hammer and tongs with you over on Chalet. It's not competitive because the rounds have been really tight. Well, in terms of rounds, it's not competitive.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you look at he's
oh, stop it!
Stop it! No, go on, Fod! Oh, he gets the second as well. Look at that! An MVG their attack here. What could be the final round of Consulate? That might be a little dead in the water before it even gets started. And I've honestly lost what I was about to say there. That one really threw me off guard there. But there again, that's what we want to see from Synq, the aggression and the assertiveness from any of these players. It's doing wonders throughout the entire series. Really great start there from Fod for the round. Now MVG, they're now in a bit of a match fighting position to try and recover their way in towards this one, and surely we don't see Synq lose a 3 versus 5 from this position.
Before the game, more really good gameplay. They're gonna flawless it, aren't they? They really are. Before the game, we were saying that these two teams, they're very, very competitive. Solo picks up a flawless round. These two teams, super, super competitive. We're gonna go through to a decider, Travi. It's really showing.
It's so showing indeed. What I was going to say before that round sort of kicked off and sort of got over so quickly before it even started really, was on Chalet it was a map of back and forth, tug of war.
Yeah.
One team wins a round, one team wins another. Versus you compare it here to Consulate, Synq won 2 really dominantly. And we were like, oh, Synq are back in it, they're going to be winning it. Then MVG went at 1-3 in a row, and we were like, uh-oh, where's Synq gone? And then Synq now have just gone for 1-5 rounds in a row. In contrast to map 1, Consulate was a map of just, we're going to take a massive amount of rounds back and forth in larger chunks. And Synq were definitely comfortable playing that one. I think they were very happy to do so. And well, as we head towards Cafe, I don't really think this is going to be one of those series where we know who's going to be winning it. This is anyone's game at this point. And as we head towards Cafe, well, either one of these teams, it could be Team Synq, it could be MolotovGang walking away with the win. Fortunately, we're going to throw it to a quick break, but you'll be able to find out in just a couple of minutes, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few. Well, welcome back on in, folks, to ESA season number 10. We have been treated to a series that I think was a little bit slow to start with, but we've certainly warmed into it. It's become probably one of my favourite games I've casted so far. It's been exciting, it's been fun. Molotov, they won their own map pick. Sure, required a little bit of a comeback, but they did it. Team Synq, on the other hand, they were playing on Consulate, and they did such a great job of it throughout that. Won 5 rounds in a row in the end of the day to take it over the line, 7-3. Much less closer affair than it was on map 1. And Delta, how are you feeling going into map 3?
Well, at the start of map 2, I said fatigued, so I'll probably say fatigued but excited, but mostly fatigued.
Yeah,
it's been a long slog, hasn't it? And you've got a feel for these two teams because even though it's only, we say only a best of 3, at this stage they'll be playing as much as 3.5 hours of Siege, essentially back to back. It's a lot, you know what I mean? And especially when you consider the mental pressure of, I don't want to mess up for my team, don't want to mess up for my mates, you know what I mean? It's a lot, it takes it out of you. So you got to give kudos to these competitors as they go forward, but maybe a little more kudos to Synq as they take not only a lead in terms of the rounds, not only a lead in terms of the maps won, but also a lead in terms of the rounds that they have won as well. And I don't think at the start of the game either of us really envisioned a world in which MolotovGang would be negative in terms of their round differential from the back of this map, did we?
Not at all. I mean, you look at MVG, they come into this one 14-0, and they start off on the first map, at least round 1, really strongly. And we're thinking, it's going to be, MVG, they're going to completely swamp over this one. And then Team Synq, they fight back. and they do such a good job of it the entirety of the way through here. And that has put us on to map number 3. And I think either the way this one goes, I think Team Synq will be happy with their performance regardless of how this one goes. MVG will, of course, still be going into this one with the expectation of getting that victory. But if anything's been proven by the past 2 maps, at this point, this one could be anyone's game. I don't really see a world, or I can see a world where either of these 2 teams take the victory here on Cafe. This one's going to be exciting. Both teams have played it once so far in Season 10. Both teams have won it once so far in Season 10. Only difference is, of course, being MVG, when they did win it, not only did they win it 7-0, it was also their own pick. So, leading you to suggest they're perhaps a little bit more comfortable on it, but Team Synq, well, as they proved on Consulate, they can make anything happen. They can make magic out of nothing when the individual players firing all up. I think for me, I think for Team Synq, they need to make sure they don't, if they do start to get momentum, it doesn't get into their head a little bit, because we saw it happen perhaps at the start of Consulate where they won 2 rounds really, really quickly. It got a little bit sloppy, and they then rectified the mistakes. But I think MVG will be looking to punish that a lot more here on map number 3. So Team Synq, they shouldn't be making them in the first place.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I think, MVG, I mean, they're going to be strong on every map, right? They're the champions for a reason. But then also, I would say that here in Season 10, they've not really been tested on Cafe Dostoyevsky, because with all the best of respect to Team 27, they were absolutely demolished. You know what I mean? It was a whitewash. They were completely unable to respond to anything MVG have. So I do wonder how long it's actually been since MVG have been tested on Cafe, whereas Team Synq, they ground out a result last time they were here against their previous opponents in round 1. So does that factor into it? I think, to be honest with you, Charlie, I think we just need to look at the game in front of us.
That's it.
The 2 teams have shown so far, round on round, it's not a predictable matchup at all. Both teams can swing positively and negatively, and it's just going to be down to who's got the, at this stage, who's got the more stamina, who's got the more mental energy to see it out. Because at this stage, you're playing yourself as much as you're playing the enemy.
That's it. It was a tough game to start with as well. We were here, of course, for the start map number 1. We had quite a few tech issues, so it was a bit of a difficult one to warm into to start with. And we've definitely seen, I think, the status quo almost of this matchup change as we move through the series. And it's, as I say, it's difficult to start with. And as you said, stamina is going to be key. It's important to make sure that you're not making mistakes, you're not sort of letting these little things that happen. These players, all of them, I'd say so far, have been stepping up individually at certain points throughout the matchup.
Reloading.
There's definitely been star players throughout the whole thing. Umfalls definitely steps out as one, as immediately who's going, yes, doing a great job. Pizza as well, some great moments. And also on the other side, Isan's had some really, really great moments as well. Goldie's has had some good moments. So every player in both sides can step up to make some magic happen. It's just really a question of who's going to be doing it when it's most important to do so.
Yeah, a couple of notable things. Azami being banned out for the 3rd time in 3 maps. Neither of these teams really wanting to play against Azami on defense. So that's something that's quite interesting to see her essentially locked out of the game. Whereas Blitz and that only banned twice. Blackbeard only banned twice. So Blackbeard is on the board in this one. So it's interesting to see how they're deciding to adapt to these metas and things like that. Team Synq here. They're going to be defending the bottom side. They're going to be defending kitchen, whilst MolotovGang, they're not getting these early kills that maybe they'd like to get on attack. And in fact, they'll be conceding one as vods opens his account for the game by taking Isan down.
Yep, and as well as doing that, also going to be taking down Goldies as well. Double VOD now to kick things off here on Cafe Dostoyevsky. I'll decide a map, and MVG, they're now left with a minute 10 on the clock to try and recover this one, to try and get 2 things out, and then look towards executing on towards the objective. As you can see here, MVG, they're struggling to really make a net of this map. Drugs has all of those BO3 drones in, hasn't been able to get into a position where they're going to be using it. They're going to try and sandwich the player solo inside of Reading. They're going to be able to do so, but there's immediately a player from behind trying to answer back. It's going to be Foggy again, fishing for more, looking for another. He wants to try and get more and more picks in towards this round and try and even further the leads in man count. That Team Synq hold for the time being. God, you can hear him running, you can hear him going about. Here now he is moving the drone. He knows they're going to be floating around the place. He just has to wait for the perfect moment to strike. 30 seconds left on the clock. MVG, your time to strike. That is running out.
Yeah.
It's
It's a very late time to be getting the vert open, isn't it? Very, very late, and a very late time to be rotating around the outside of the building, Travi.
Yeah, all the way over to the other side of the map. I mean, we go looking a bit more
15
fireplace side
seconds
and
to go.
execute, and now they're just leaving it and going all the way down red in for a small bakery. They're just going to have to try and get the kills. What happened here? Unfortunately, Unpause caught looking the wrong way. Does make it a 3 versus 3, but what is
5
behind?
seconds to
Nerd
go.
on site finds one. It is traded back immediately though, but 2 versus 2. The warden goes down. Vods on a triple for the round, but then the
Operators, you have
diffuser
run out
just
of
not
time.
stuck through. And there you go, Team Synq. They walk away with the first one. They get it over the line. And good start from them here.
I will say though, that was significantly tighter
15 seconds to
than
go.
it really ought to have been. Yeah, I mean, look at the scenario there. With 20 seconds to go, you've only just opened vert onto kitchen and prep. You've only just done that. You're only just sprinting down red, and it was only the player that rotated outside and came in through main entrance and then through prep that
Attackers need
actually,
to locate and defuse as
is the
many
one
bombs as they
applying
can.
pressure to site.
Yeah.
So whilst they were picking up the frags, they picked them up really late on, and at that point it was all or nothing. They just had to frag off, and play off instinct. There wasn't an execute as such,
Attackers have discovered
and
the
I
location
don't
of a
even think
bomb.
that's necessarily due to anything fantastic from Synq. Obviously, Ford picked up those 2 kills towards the middle of the round, but there wasn't this extensive roam presence that MVG had to clear. They cleared a lot of the map and spent a huge amount of time face checking things. They just didn't really have to. And they
10
kind of
seconds to
wasted
go.
their own time there. Team Synq, they're just going to say thank you very much. Thanks for
5
serving
seconds
us.
to go.
That's on a plate. We'll move on into round 2.
Would you call it perhaps even maybe a little bit of overthinking it from MolotovGang, just perhaps a bit overcomplicating it, where perhaps it doesn't need
Yeah,
to be, you know?
absolutely. Yeah, there's making sure of it, and then there's overplaying it, like you said. So maybe they were a little bit guilty of the first one there.
Yeah, perhaps so, but at the end of the day, that round is done and dusted. It's in the books now, can't do much about it. You've got to look on, you've got to be looking ahead here. I mean, it's going to be the whole memo for the remainder of this map, really. You've just got to keep on fighting. This war of attrition, you've really seen it throughout the entire series. Both of these teams, great performance, and they're going to have to keep answering that back. This time round, though, I think it's going to be a bit more of an extended hold from Team Synq. Of course, using the mirror windows to hold on upstairs. Yeah, we saw mirror band out of map number 1. Didn't use too much in map number 2. This time around, I thought Finch was going to be seeing a lot more presence here over on Cafe. And there's going to be pizza behind her alongside quite an extensive hold on the top floor, I think.
Yeah, exactly. For a reading dining hold, like typically, you need to be holding that top floor for as long as you can to maintain vert. Vert is so important. Cafe Dostoevsky. I mean, it's important everywhere in Siege, but on Cafe Dostoevsky, vertical gameplay is king. And this top floor roam clear, this top floor gameplay where they're taking out these intel pieces early on with no risk, it's really good play from MVG, but they're starting to fall a little bit behind in where they'd want to be. By a minute into the game, I'd quite like to see them have that red breach open. There it is.
Yeah.
Now they need to be challenging Pixel. I just think they need to pick up the pace a little bit, because also with the hatch, if they've popped it, Team Synq, they can just retreat at will. This wide player, we saw them work really well as they rotate R into main and just pick off someone on the retreat. That's one of them easy kills that they can just pick off to swing things in their favour. But that's one player who's not on that top floor, not applying this pressure and not making things easy. And they'll also get killed as VOD swings out.
VOD swings out. It is traded back though by ESA and does able to keep things even, and as Varax finds another on towards Solo, the top floor hold, that Team Synq had is quickly fallen away from, no choice now but to fall back down. Just goes down towards the C4, should be able to be recovered, as I don't imagine the intel from the side of Synq will be coming out. But what's this? They're going to double down on the C4, throw another up, and congratulations, you go fishing for one.
Nice.
You only find one, not quite a second, but very beautiful use of the C4 there.
Oh, signposted a bit there, didn't he?
Yeah, thought about it, gave it a go, and I'm looking as well at the health of the MolotovGang. 2 of the players very, very low HP. That's going to be execute work as we go towards the kind of last 20 seconds here. How is they going to shape? How is this execute going to shape up from the MVG to do it before just try and storm and get the kills, or are they going to go for a bit of a plant? That question will of course be answered in the next 15. But first and foremost, it's going to be Iron to fall down to Pizza. They know about one, but they can't get either of the kills, and just Team Synq just explode onto it. It's a second in the road for them. And start things off here on Cafe, very, very strong.
Yeah, that's a really fantastic round from Synq, I think. You know, MVG, they didn't hit the targets that they needed to hit. I think, you know, by that minute mark, you want to be really applying pressure on Pixel, if not already moving through. By that minute mark, you want to have cleared top floor really and start be applying pressure over onto cocktail window and things like that.
Yeah.
They weren't. They lost
Attackers
their
need to
flanking player
locate
who
and
could
defuse
maybe
the
have
bomb.
done that over on the west side of the map. So a lot of things just didn't quite add up for MVG there, and Team Synq, they did a fantastic job of making everything work in their favour.
Attackers have located a bomb.
You know, towards the end where you've got map top floor control by a minute to go, but then you've got the C4s raining up towards you, and even if one of them got a kill and one of them didn't, that still, it slows you down so much, and these things compound.
Yeah.
When they dropped and the diffuser died, they only had 15 seconds left on the clock anyway. That's
10
no
seconds
time
remaining.
to come up with a plan. And once again, we saw MVG in that scenario where they
5 seconds
couldn't
to go.
execute. They just had to
Yeah.
try and frag out, and it's no way to be when you're on the
Attackers are
when
heading out
when you
to
got your
defuse
back
the
against the
bomb.
ropes in competitive siege. And I will point this out, Travi. This is an interesting
Yeah.
statistic for you.
Go on.
Synq have now run 7 rounds in a row. What's that going to do to MV? 7 rounds
Oh.
in a row. What's that
Well,
going to do
that's
to
a whole
MVG's
match.
mental?
That's a whole map's worth of
That's a
rounds
whole
there.
map's worth.
That is a lot of rounds. I didn't even realise it, but true, they're just continuing on. I mean, I think it's something we spoke about a lot about that. Team Synq, they've definitely found it so far here towards the end of the second map. I'd argue, bar those two rounds that were a bit of a hiccup, as soon as Team Synq worked out how to control the excitement and the momentum alongside controlling it in a way that allows you to utilise it without overusing it so you're making mistakes, as soon as they worked that out, it feels like they've almost been unstoppable in the last couple of rounds. I mean, they're doing so great. Sure, a lot of them are really, really, really close, but when push comes to shove, when it comes to the dying couple of seconds, it's normally Team Synq, it has been for the last few, has been Team Synq coming out on top here. As now MVG, they're looking to make their clear across the top floor. Going to be doing so, as you say, about a minute in now, about decent pace for time here. I wouldn't say they're too far behind the clock, but do they know Falls' position? Just see there in the corner of the screen, the drone comes by. Did they see the player or did they not? I don't know if they quite did. Falls maybe able to hide behind here and get a few 3Bs. It's a risky position to play, and there you go. He's going to stand up, get their eyes off. Relax. Finds it down, and 5 versus 4. MVG now left having to make this round solo as well. Left on the top floor, looking to find some picks. Going to be able to do that. Takes down ESA.
Nice.
The Montaigne, look at that sliver of HP, golden canisters, fire all around you as a C4 from below. Falls find it, and Team Synq, they're really finding their groove here on Cafe. 3 really, really great rounds here. Doesn't write this one out for the book just yet. You know, Team Synq could still lose this one, but it's really looking unlikely here at this point. I mean, they've got all 5 players left alive. The Shield's on a sliver of HP, Goldies as well. What can you really do? No utility as well, really, from the side of MVG. You're struggling to find something that's going to get them into this one here, other than a miracle. They've got the top floor control, 55 seconds though. The clock's going to be dwindling down, and so is the man count even further. Goalies falls, and now in a 1 versus 5, you're on the Montaigne with really, really low HP. Nothing you can do other than take yourself out of this one. Not quite going to work. And instead it's going to be Vod to close it out with the flawless. And there you have it, Team Synq. What a round from them.
So that's 8 rounds in a row, and also they've had 2 flawless rounds in that set of 8.
Oh my.
At what point do we start thinking about calling it? Like, we can't predict it, and listen, let's not curse it.
No.
But you've got to admit, Travi, there is a pattern emerging here, and that pattern is Synq W, Synq W, Synq W.
Yeah.
They've hit their stride since round 6, the last round where they were defending on Consulate.
Yeah.
Since then, they've been unstoppable. Absolutely
Exactly
unstoppable.
so.
They've played MVG off the
The thing is,
park.
as well, I don't even think it's as a whole. Synq haven't really evolved so much. I mean, they've been playing really, really well, but they're still finding themselves in these lot of positions. Perhaps look at round 2 on this map, not so much the last one, as perhaps round 2, where it's still really, really close rounds. The rounds are still very, very close and tight knit. It's just at dying moments, Team Synq have that extra little bit
10
behind them,
seconds remaining.
whether it's a drone cover in the right position, whether it's intel on the player, they've played the
5
crop
seconds
perfection,
to
whatever it is, Team Synq always have that little bit of an extra card almost, if you will, in their depth. And they're doing that repeatedly here.
Absolutely,
MVG,
yeah.
they're not exposing the mistakes like they were perhaps in map number 1, and it's really cost them the last few.
Yeah, and the thing is, that especially in games where it's like a best of 3 rather than best of 1, in best of 3 Siege, it's not necessarily, you're not going to be consistently fantastic for 3 maps, right? You're not. But it's when you can grind out these rounds when you're not at your best, when you're having a bit of an off round. You know, and you see the same in every sport, really, I think, where a champion is not necessarily a team that can play the best in any one single match. It's the team that can play the best and can win these victories when they're just not feeling it. And that's what I think Team Synq have done. They've not been out and out the best team at any point. The 2 teams I think have been very level. But what they've done is they've worked out these little kinks, these little mistakes in their game, where they were dropping rounds and now they're winning the rounds that they would have dropped.
That's it. It's a difficult question. I mean, you look at it and you just do have to wonder, when are MVG going to make their response into it? You know, they've kept the rounds close, but it's about getting that extra one over the line. And well, at least round 4 they start things off strong. Justifies a bit over towards Pizza. Makes things a 5 versus 4. Fod taking a hell of a lot of damage as well, and eventually does go down. But Unfalls finds one back, finds a second back, and it's now 3 versus 3. Yet again, MVG have the advantage, and there you go. Goldies ensures that they keep it for at least a while longer, but Solo's still in Cigar. Nerd as well behind the mirror window, so they're in good positions here. MVG, they've got plenty of time to convert this one into a victory. A triple Goldies is exactly what was needed for MVG here. Nerd can need to work for magic. Bring this one back over towards the side of the defense of Team Synq. MVG, they know where the player is. They have the idea. Got a C4 in pocket, you can try and use that, but not from this position. You're going to have to leave it. Wait a little bit. Block as well. Force out Provider and Arrow. It's a difficult one. You know he's cornered at this point. MVG, they're circling around. They want this kill. They want the kill. However, Vector does find its first. Mirror window is going to be dropped, and here comes Nerd looking for another, but caught looking the wrong way. Ino closes out, and finally, after 8 rounds, MVG.
That's all they wrote.
With 1. That's it.
Yeah, and I think that was around the MVG. They desperately needed something to stem the tide.
Yeah.
Desperately needed to find something. And even then, it wasn't the most convincing of victories, was it? You know, that was a round where Synq, they just didn't quite match up to the quality that they had in MVG. They hit their targets a little bit earlier, and the key thing there is they weren't executing with like 20 seconds on the clock.
No.
You know, that worked back in 2020, right? When we had the 20-second meta. You know, much as I actually loved it, because it was, you know, really interesting to talk about all the tactics and all the utility. It's a little bit more run and gun now, but I feel like MVG so far in this map and in others, they've been playing right at the death of the round, and they execute there. There they executed with about a minute to go, and it showed because they were very calm. They weren't rushing their gunfights. They could pick their shots, and they overran Team Synq, and it all started by hitting the targets that they needed to hit. They had the breach open on red by a minute. They established pixel control with a good frag out from a piano window, and from there they just took over control. It was really good to watch.
That's it. It was a good round from them, and you know, 3-1 is a comebackable position. MVG, they're still in this fight now, I reckon. They're back in it now. They just need to make sure. They just need to make sure that it doesn't go wrong anymore. In this fight yet again, and I'm hoping we're going to be seeing another overtime out of these 2 teams, because the Siege so far, especially as the series has gone, it's just getting more and more exciting to watch these 2 teams really battle it out here. You know, I do feel like obviously we are in the upper bracket at the minute. I really do feel like we have some of the best teams in the competition here in amongst these 2. You know,
absolutely.
Going onwards, I'm putting his favourite, both of them playing such a really great game of Siege tonight, impressive across all fronts, of course. As is with competition, there can only be one winner. And, of course, for a couple of rounds, it's really looked like Team Synq. But with that one, MVG have got... Do you reckon they've got a way back into this?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely doable, but on this specific site, I don't know, because on this site, this is the one where Team Synq really hit their stride and were able to just completely lock out MolotovGang. You know, with this reading dining, with this top floor hold, MolotovGang, they struggled so much, and when Team Synq did come under a little bit too much pressure, they were able to extricate themselves from the hold that they were holding very quickly. Nerd, they'll pick a 1 onto Ina, the hero player of the lineup, so they will play no further part in the round. Goldies will pick one up, back onto Solo, themselves on the Goyo, all their utilities down, but the frags will come through quick and fast as Pizza, Fod, and Unfalls. They all add themselves to the ledger. 1 more to go, and this round's probably all as good as over.
Yeah, Good as over indeed. Just when it's looking like quite a close competitive round one, perhaps MVG maybe able to work their way into Team Synq, just exploding the kill feed, a quick succession of kills going in their pocket, going in their way, and well, would you look at that? MolotovGang, sure, they take one back, but then immediately it goes back the other way, and Team Synq now with another, what I'd say is quite a dominant round, really. You know, once all's said and done, they're closing it out with 4 people left standing. It's a good way to be ending around and keep the confidence going. Team Synq guaranteed 4 for the half, which I think is probably better than you want here on your Cafe defense. Of course, they'll be looking for that 5-1 half. They'll be looking to take the split positively, and MVG, it's crucial they get this one here, I think. I mean, you know, struggle to really sort of articulate how perhaps it's been going like really well. For MVG, I mean, Team Synq, just the last couple of rounds, they've really started to progress. They're definitely playing like the better team in a minute.
Yeah, I do wonder there though, where we did see the kills coming through in Cigar in particular, if there was a bit of a miscommunication in the MVG side, which led to Team Synq picking up 1, then 2, then 3 in such quick succession. You can't be affording communication issues at this stage if that is in fact what happened. Last round of Team Sync's defensive half, they're 4-1, so as you say, common wisdom dictates they've done what they need to do. Anything from here is a bit of a gift, and they're sat in a site which they won very, very well. The split site, the sites where you hold Vert, sorry, I was going to call it a split site then, that's not quite accurate, but the sites where you're holding top and you're holding the Vert and you can retreat in, it's like you've got layered lines of defense. They're the ones where Synq has been absolutely strongest, and I've been most impressed with them so far. So I think there's every chance we could see a 5v1, but this is going to be the first fight. Down on this white stairs, they're going to force them out with the flashbang, with the throwable. Both parties going to retreat.
Yeah, run away with no loss, no gain either though, so I think both teams will be happy to play that one out. I mean, of course, with this objective, with this kind of split hold as well, it's one of these ones where you almost have, for MVG, you've almost got 2 sides for that. The top 4 to take, as well as the main objective itself, because that's so pivotal. Run out being read onto, but not instead going to be committed through there by Unfall's. Good read from them, not fully commit to that and run out. As I say, it's that commitment to commit when you need to, but not committing. That's sort of doing a lot of separation at the minute, as well as this kind of time management for MVG here. They are making decent progress from the time in this round. I mean, it's a bit more of a, I'd say, spread out approach from them. They're not putting as much emphasis on correctly doing that top. You've got a couple of players pushing down below. You've got Aishan there on the repels. It's a split one from MVG, and they need to try and find an early pick here. They need to try and take this player out of washroom position here. That Goyo's going to keep causing problems, as Dolo is going to be taking not too much damage just yet. Elsewhere though, Fod does fall to Goldies. No, it's all the way below. Do they have any idea? Not at all.
Nice.
Goldies is shut down. We're back into a 4 versus 4. Ishan falls as well. Just does find one back, keeping us 3 versus 3 in the round when he's somewhat close. But he's still got players on his top floor to clear out as Unfalls. It's making sure that Team Synq have control over this power position, have control over this vertical. And this is where I have to wind up. Why is the shield at the back? The shield needs to be at the front here, pushing this position, pushing this player out. Need to get this Monty on the front line, not only feeding intel, but applying pressure to the remaining defenders on this top floor here, because you've got 2 people up there. You're in the 2 versus 2 right now, effectively sure one of them shield. And that's what exactly is needed for MVG. Vera going to find one, though. Nerd takes down the Montaigne, and now it's just Farah left in the 1 versus 2 position. 35 seconds on the clock to deny the 5-1 half. You have to be the one to make the move here on the attack, after all. User should be recoverable, but instead you're going to go for the drop, going to be going for the eliminations, it feels. Team Synq, they're not giving away anything. There you go, Solo's going to close it out. And it's Team Synq, they're starting to run away with it yet again, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic gameplay from Synq here. And this is, I mean, this is maybe what I was alluding to. Not to say I predicted this, because I didn't, I absolutely didn't. but you know, I did suggest maybe that MolotovGang, they hadn't been tested on CAF.
Yeah.
And maybe they've put an undue amount of confidence in the 7-0 that they took last week. No disrespect to their rivals from last week, but it was, you know, it was Premier League versus League One, right? It was a no contest. This is a real challenge, and you know, MVG, look, they've now got to play perfect siege if they want to win in regulation. Perfect siege, 6 rounds in a row. We know Synq can do it. MVG haven't done it against Synq.
Yeah.
So, you know, 1 round for Team Synq forces overtime if MVG get the distance. They've got to play absolutely perfectly now.
I mean, it's a total difference. I suppose we're at a total different
10
state of the
seconds to
game
go.
from when we perhaps in map 1 where it was close. It
Yeah.
was back and forth the entire time. We were thinking to
5
us, God,
seconds remaining.
what a close game, what an exciting 3 maps of overtime possibly from these two teams.
Attackers are moving to
And at
defuse the bomb.
least over Consulate was a 7-3, ended in 10 rounds. This one may not even hit a double digit on the round count. There's a possibility of it.
Yeah.
Of course, the sides are going to flip now. We're going to be seeing the Blackbeard for the first time all series. He's been unbanned, and now he's finally being brought out by Nerd. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays out in towards this one. But as you say, for MVG to avoid overtime, it's got to be a perfect game. And that's a tough call.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how effective the Blackbeard is, do you think it might have been a misplay for MVG to decide to ban Grim instead? Because Grim, I think it's not one of those operators where I don't think you ban a Grim. You can always just play around them, is my mentality towards it. A Blackbeard is a hard operator to counter in some cases, especially when you've got a player like, I'll shout them again on Shields, Aina, unreal on operators like Monty, like Clash, like Blackbeard. Really, really powerful player on them.
Surprised we didn't see them try the shields before. They tried them on a few times, but not the Blackbeard.
Twice, yeah.
But not the Blackbeard, which surprised me, considering how much it's been banned out, sort of how much these teams are kind of trying to sidestep it the entire series.
Yeah.
They're now only Team Synq have been playing into it. Surprising one. We'll have to wait and see whether fear and sort of I guess the idea around this Blackbeard running about it is really of anything of truth. I mean, it's really powerful here on this rappel position. Be locking it down here with the shield. And you can see there. Golden is thinking of peeking it, but I think you're going to get a better idea of it. You know you're just going to get cut down if you try anything towards that shield. They're going to have to try something else. As Vod finds one on towards ESA. And there you go, that's the starting point for Team Synq. Now 5 versus 4 on the round, minute 15 left to go. Still plenty of time for the attack to work this one out and try and find a way in towards this one. Of course, ESA now sit on the black eye cameras, as you're going to see, quite a lot of intel towards Team Synq. Other than the shock drones, which are all, I believe, dead now, don't really have any way of sort of coordinating and getting rid of those, so they're just going to have to try and push through the intel here.
Yeah.
It's been such a sticking point throughout this entire series, this whole intel game. And this one, Vod almost caught looking the wrong way, but is able to flick onto Goldies, and that is crucial right there. That should be a gunfight you're winning.
Yeah.
And Team Synq, they now have a 2-man advantage into this round, and what was looking a bit dicey with a shaky clock, Pizza finds another, and now it's just looking worrisome for MolotovGang yet again. Varux and I know all that remains standing for them here, and they're locked in pretty difficult positions here. They've not got, they can see into the objective, they've not got control over it. Elf here, as Pizza's going to cut down Varux, all down for Ina. Now 9 map series, Team Synq in a 1 versus 5. Does round 1, going to be able to confirm the pit, extends it with a little teabag, but it's unballs to close it out. Team Synq, they find themselves up on map series point. It's going to be a long road if MVG want to bring this one back, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to.
No, absolutely. I mean, match point now. Not only match point, map point, and series point now for Team Synq. You know, they're 6-1 up. One more will seal it, and now we need to see 6 consecutive perfect rounds from MolotovGang to get themselves to match point. It's a tough one. I think I would suggest rather that the neutral will be quite enjoying this, because MVG, they love a bit of trash talk. They do cultivate a certain reputation amongst the ESA community, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who are watching this who are maybe quite enjoying this and just enjoying it for the siege, Travi. It's fantastic siege. And the thing is, although MVG, the round counter in this particular map is really poor for them. You can't say they've played poorly, realistically. They've played a good game, but Team Synq, they've just gone up a gear. And they're cruising right now. You know, they've climbed another 40,000 feet. They're at their cruising altitude right now, and you've got one chance, realistically, to clip their wings. And then another chance, and you've got to do it consecutively for the next 20 minutes. I don't know if MVG can do it, but let's find out, Travi. Round 8 on CAF.
Round 8 on Cafe indeed. And when you want to throw it quick back to something I said in map number 1, both these teams have been playing good this way. It's about individual greatness. But if you ask me, all 5 members on Team Synq are playing great right now, and this is where the scoreline ends up when that happens. All 5 on Team Synq firing are doing a really, really great job right now. And sure, there is some individual moments of brilliance on MVG, you know, just Goldies, Ina have had some really, really great moments here on Cafe. when all 5 members of Team Synq are firing, unless all 5 of your own team are firing, there's not really much you can do about it here. MVG in a bit of a struggle position here, as you know, they're now going to, of course, have to, as you say, they're going to have to get 5 rounds consecutively. One little mistake, and then that's your game done and dusted. Team Synq will find themselves in the 2-0 upper bracket, which is a result, you know, based on predictions at the start of the night. I don't think many people expected here. As Unfalls, it's going to be charging straight in. Varrox is going to be the first one to fall. Goes down here. And then that could be the start of the domino chain that's going to be falling. I've got a feeling Iron are going to be eyeing up a little bit of a hop out here on the window. Bit of a ballsy play to make, but high risk may come with a big high reward with it. Have to wait and see whether they're going to want to be sending themselves out or not. It doesn't seem like it's going to be the case just yet, at least. Going to wait to just verify that there's players out there. The pressure coming through. Isan going to be throwing a C4. However, can't go in just yet because of the frag grenade, though. Unforce is going to be going down 4 versus 4, though, but Solo finds Isan. There you go. It's a man advantage still remaining in the side of Team Synq. 4 versus 3 now. Vods on low HP. Used a lot of that utility, but here comes Blackbeard inside. It just goes down. It's all down to Ina and Goldies to keep the game alive for MolotovGang. The champions, they're on the back foot here. They're cornered on the wall. What can they get going? It's all down to Goldies. What can they do? Catches one on the drop, finds it. But with the fuser going down, a shield to go up against there. It might be all a little bit too much here. It might be all over here. There goes the diffuser. 40 seconds now stand in between Team Synq and a map victory. They just need to hold on. They just need to play the man advantage that they've got. What can Goldies get going? They see the shield, but they don't know that there's one around there. They're seeing, they're looking all over the place, and it's going to be Solo to close it out. Team Synq, they make the champions leads. They find themselves up in the 2-0 bracket. For MolotovGang, a series that started off so close, so competitive from the get-go of things. Unfortunately, the dying few seconds in the last couple of maps, Team Synq, they stepped it up a level. They stepped up to the task. They've not only toppled one of the favourite teams in this whole competition, but they've also found themselves a very, what I would say is a convincing 2-1 victory here in this series.
Yeah, I mean, I would go so far as to say, in terms of round count, that's dominant. That is absolutely dominant. You know, MVG, they came into this game with, you know, a 14-0 in their round differential. Insane. You know what I mean? No one beats that. In comes Team Synq, and that's absolutely fantastic gameplay. Is that, you know, to come back and, you know, take Consulate, seven rounds to 3. That's huge.
Yeah.
They played very well. They hit their stride, but then to keep that going over the course of the break in between maps and just absolutely dominate CAF, not only on their defensive half, but also just extend that into their attacking, taking the rounds that they took. It's, you know, at one point they took 8 rounds in a row off of MVG.
Yeah.
Off the reigning champions. That's a statement of intent in the league that it's so rare to see. MVG, they're no longer in the upper bracket. They did make this run last time, so you cannot write them out.
No.
But today, I think Synq have blown everyone away.
Yeah. Far exceeded expectations, so they're going to be finding themselves upwards here in the 2-0 bracket here. As you can see now, things we started to update. Of course, we've only just found ourselves here in the first part of our second round here in season number 10. So, of course, there's not going to be too many teams updated through yet. Of course, Synq will be finding themselves up in the 2-0, awaiting their opponent in a couple of weeks' time. Whereas MolotovGang, they're going to be in the 1-1 bracket. It's not a worse place to be in the world. It's definitely, you know, there could be worse place to be. You could be in the 0-2 bracket. So I don't think they're going to be too disheartened by it. But of course, it is going to be one of those situations where you don't really want to be being there. I think they would have expected to be in the 2-0 bracket coming out of today, but they've got a few days, they've got a few weeks rather, sort of sit back away from this one, assess what would have gone wrong today. You know, you were saying in round count, especially Team Synq dominated. If my maths is right, 20-12, that's quite a difference between these two.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly impressive. And the thing is, whilst they won't meet again in the Swiss phase, you know, they could still find each other at the same part of the competition. That's part of the beauty of Swiss, you know. But Synq, I mean, like I say there, that's an absolute statement of intent on the competition, isn't it? Where, you know, they come here, they come to, you know, ESA, they look at the reigning champions. A lot of people, you know, the staff team included, they say, nah, that's not happening, is it? You know, you'll put up a fight, but you'll get beat. You might give them a bloody nose. They've only gone and put the reigning champions in A&E. It's fantastic to see such a competitive league and such good quality siege being played at ESA, and you know, it's It's befitting a competition that's in its 10th season. This kind of quality of the siege. It's what enforces the quality and the longevity of ESA. Really, really fantastic game. Both teams can be proud of themselves.
Definitely so. I mean, as you say, it's a really exciting one, of course. But we've got more games to settle things out. This is not going to be it for this week. We're only on Monday. We've still got 3 more play days to go through. Tomorrow, we've got the Ghost Army versus MG Akatsuki. Going to be going up against each other in another best of 3 series. That is also an upper bracket match, as it will be for the entirety of this week. One of these teams will be finding themselves in the 2-0 position. One of these teams will be finding themselves in the 1-1 bracket. Well, so that's going to be the case for tomorrow. And, well, I'm going to put you on the hot seat here. Any expectations going into it?
Well, I've not watched either of those two teams, so I
No?
think there'll be some very good siege getting played.
Yeah, I can tell you that one. I mean, I've
And I've
got plenty.
also, off the back of my prediction from today, Travi, I'm gonna
Yeah,
say my prediction is not worth that much.
yeah. Yeah, that is fair enough to say. I mean, I'm not going to say I cause upsets, but I've had the treat of quite a few upsets since I've been here in a couple of the games I've casted. We'll personally be back tomorrow, joined by, I believe, Puffo Bob on the casting desk. So, of course, we look forward to that one. Of course, we'll be here at the exact same time tomorrow, 19:30 CET. So, with that being said, have a wonderful rest of your evening. Of course, congratulations to Team Synq, commiserations to MolotovGang. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Catch you all very soon tomorrow for the next game. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.